Warrior Lore. Chapter 2442. Seeing that Du Xiaofu was really about to leave, the gloomy female voice cried out again. The greatest secret buried in this world. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's great pong wings suddenly flapped, and he immediately stopped. He stared at the tornado where the gloomy female voice had come from. He originally didn't want to get involved, but the greatest secret buried in this world was extremely tempting to Du Xiaofu. The greatest secret buried in this world is also the greatest opportunity in this world. Fight Gu Dai with me, and I'll take you there. Seeing Du Xiaofu stop, Hunji quickly followed up. It seemed like this human was already interested in this. Du Xiaofu was indeed conflicted at this moment. If it were any other condition, Du Xiaofu wouldn't care at all and would leave without hesitation. The greatest secret buried in this world was also the greatest opportunity in this world. Du Xiaofu had entered this danger zone to search for an opportunity, hoping to break through as soon as possible. But now, this was related to the greatest opportunity in this world. Du Xiaofu couldn't help but care. All the ancestor-level experts had entered the Heaven Burial Deathland at this moment. Perhaps it was related to the greatest secret buried in this world. Why should I believe you? Besides, even if we work together, we probably won't be able to win, Hunji said. Du Xiaofu asked as he stared at the cold, gloomy tornado. The lightning martial veins in his body circled around, and his profound qi surged. He was fully prepared to guard against the unexpected. He estimated his chances of dealing with the even larger, gloomy tornado with his own strength, so he had no choice but to be on guard against Hunji. That opportunity is useless to me. Otherwise, I would have obtained it long ago. Also, you don't seem to have any other choice. If you don't work with me, Gu Dai won't let you go when the time comes. Once he devours me, his strength will increase greatly, and the difference between your cultivation and his will be even greater. At that time, he won't be afraid of your lightning power anymore. If we work together, we have a chance. If he hadn't ambushed me and injured me, I wouldn't have been afraid of him. But with you on my side, as long as you use your lightning power to assist me, we have a chance to defeat him. I swear I will accompany you to that dangerous place to find the greatest secret buried in this world. Du Xiaofu hesitated, but he wasn't in a rush to attack. He had to be on guard. He didn't know if Soul Concubine was trying to trick him, and he didn't know if she would turn on him after using him. Bitch. Gucci was furious when he heard Hunji's words. She wanted to team up with that human to deal with him. The giant cold tornado around him suddenly trembled. A giant handprint stretched out, covering the sky like dark clouds. Boom! This handprint was filled with a gloomy aura mixed with killing intent and vast spirit fluctuations. It instantly swept toward Hunji. The space around Hunji rumbled, and as it trembled, a fist shot out like a black meteor. It was accompanied by vast spirit fluctuations as it swept out. Bang! As the two types of energy collided, the strange space trembled uncontrollably. Both of you are very strong. Perhaps you are even stronger than Lei Tianhuang. Du Xiaofu could feel the extreme baleful aura and spirit fluctuations surging out at this moment. The spirit energy and baleful aura that blotted out the sky were erupting, and the aftershocks were enough to affect the spirit. These two spirit fluctuations were too powerful. Thinking of his disciple, Lei Tianhuang, Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. His master was currently weaker than his disciple. How embarrassing. Human, what are you hesitating for? Hurry up and help me. Otherwise, we will both die, and you will not be able to obtain the greatest opportunity buried in this world. There is no need to worry. I swear I won't do anything to you after this. Bang! In the violent collision, the spirit remnant surged. Hunji was clearly at a disadvantage. Her tone was grave. Bitch! Bang! Gucci roared angrily. Once again, a terrifying chill swept out from the huge tornado and ruthlessly charged toward Hunji. Du Xiaofu pondered. For a moment, he was still in a dilemma, unable to make a choice. Wealth comes from danger. Bang! Suddenly, Du Xiaofu made a decision. He looked at the two storms in front of him as they collided once again. He gritted his teeth and the golden wings of the great rock broke through the air. Purple gold light surged out of his hand as a murderous thunderbolt aura spread out. Purple thunderbolts rushed out like angry dragons and blasted towards Guing. The space along the way collapsed inch by inch. Lowly human, you are courting death. Bang! Gu Qi roared angrily, but she was absolutely fearful when she felt the enormous power of lightning sweeping over. The storm swept out, forming a strange screen of cold light. Boom! Boom! The furious dragon-like lightning slammed into the cold light screen, but it was innately able to suppress the energy of the light screen. The murderous aura swept out and instantly cracked the light screen. The light screen was instantly covered with crisscrossing cracks, and then it shattered with a loud bang. However, the strange cold light screen fluctuated, and the mysterious runes on the talisman flickered. More and more cold aura surged out, and in the end, it blocked Du Xiaofu's attack. I will deal with you first, lowly human. Gu Ming was furious. It seemed that he had suffered a lot under Du Xiaofu's lightning martial vein. In the storm, the cold aura overflowed and set off huge waves that crossed the space. It gave up on Hunji and swept directly toward Du Xiaofu. Rumble. After making a decision, Du Xiaofu also began to activate his lightning martial vein with all his strength. Lightning spread out, and destructive lightning fell in all directions. Lightning swept across the sky like a rainstorm. Purple electric snakes flashed, and the aura was powerful. The murderous aura spread out. It didn't have any murderous aura, but it showed the majesty of creation. It showed the righteous aura of heaven and earth. It was extremely strong and could punish the common people. Under the terrible lightning martial vein, Gu Qi was obviously greatly affected. Layers of cold aura were constantly shattered, and the talisman was obliterated. The lightning martial vein and the power of lightning could suppress the energy of the cold remnant soul. Du Xiaofu was relieved, but he didn't dare to be careless. Gu Qi's aura was too powerful. It was comparable to any expert of the Sage Realm perfection. If it wasn't suppressed by the power of lightning and the lightning martial vein, it would undoubtedly be more difficult to deal with. You have this strange power of lightning, but your cultivation is too low. The late stage of the Sage Realm is not enough. Boom! Gu Qi's voice came out, and a majestic evil aura surged out of the storm. A huge evil aura suddenly swept out, like a shock wave sweeping toward Du Xiaofu. Boom! Boom! The evil aura and the power of lightning collided. Du Xiaofu's power of lightning was the nemesis of these cold, evil aura remnant souls. However, the energy of these cold, evil aura remnant souls was much greater in terms of energy level. Deep and muffled sonic booms were unceasingly heard in this unceasing collision, and an astonishing energy swept out. Du Xiaofu received a lot of impact and influence. The cold, evil aura energy directly drilled into his mud pill palace. Fortunately, the soul inside his mud pill palace was enough to talk. Crash! In this kind of confrontation, all kinds of energy blossomed like fireworks with dazzling purple lightning in this dim space. Suddenly, a tyrannical cold energy appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Boom! Boom! Du Xiaofu was startled. This evil aura energy was very strange. The golden wings of the rock quickly wrapped in front of his body like a silkworm cocoon. Boom! Boom! Under the huge impact, Du Xiaofu's body, which was wrapped in the golden wings of the rock, directly shattered the void like a meteorite. The space behind him was also shattered. Under the impact of this terrifying force, Du Xiaofu finally felt the terror of the object condensed from the baleful Qi remnant soul. It was too strong. It was clearly just a cold, baleful soul energy, but not only did it target the primordial spirit, it also had a huge force that seemed to want to tear and destroy his internal organs. His mud pill palace was also greatly affected. Fortunately, the soul was enough to deal with it. However, with the immortal Xin body, the Cyan spirit armor, and the abnormal soul, Du Xiaofu was enough to deal with it. The golden wings of the rock spread out. Du Xiaofu stabilized his body, and his expression turned serious. As expected, you overestimate yourself. Even with this strange power of lightning, you are still too weak. You are just a puny human who cannot withstand a single blow. Boom! Within the cold, evil aura storm, there seemed to be a pair of eyes staring at Du Xiaofu. Gu Dai's voice was cold and harsh. Humph. A remnant soul, and soul without a body is just a remnant. What arrogance! Arrogance! Du Xiaofu climbed up and looked at the huge tornado. His temper rose. Lightning flashed in his eyes, and a chill spread out from them. Chapter 24:43. Although he had just been pushed back, Du Xiaofu knew that he was completely fine with the immortal Shin body and the science spirit armor. As for the cold spirit attack, he could completely neutralize it. Du Xiaofu was standing in the air. He was at the late stage of the Sage Realm now, but he had been disdained by a remnant soul. Therefore, Du Xiaofu felt uncomfortable. Humph! Humph! Seeing that Du Xiaofu didn't seem to care much, Gu Ying was secretly shocked. A cold snort came from the tornado-like cold energy vortex. Lowly human, let's see what else you can do. Humph! Gu Qi attacked once again. A huge vortex spun, and boundless cold evil energy swept out along with boundless spiritual power. The evil energy's spiritual fluctuations directly affected Du Xiaofu's soul. It invaded Du Xiaofu's soul from every pore. An ordinary expert of the late stage of the Sage Realm would have had their soul destroyed by this attack. Under this torrential Yuan spirit attack, Du Xiaofu was still able to withstand it. The strength of his Yuan spirit was not inferior to his physical body to begin with. Hunji, are you still not going to attack? Humph! Du Xiaofu shouted in a deep voice. He couldn't be tricked by Hunji. Woo! Humph! Hearing this, the awe-inspiring spirit energy around Hunji suddenly made a strange humming sound. In an instant, in the midst of the strange humming sound, the space wriggled, and ferocious ghosts swept out from the huge cold energy storm. They were so dense that they blotted out the sky and earth, as if the gate of hell had been opened, and swept towards Gu Ying like a swarm of bees. Humph! Humph! Covering the sky and the sun, and covering the void, the dense ghosts were terrifying. The awe-inspiring spirit fluctuation violently spread out, shaking the entire space. Countless terrifying ghosts swept out, twisting the space like a storm, tearing open cracks in the space. Bitch, you can't make big waves. Humph! Gu Ying shouted coldly. Countless ferocious beast shadows roared out from the monstrous spirit fluctuation around him, and suddenly collided violently with Hunji, tearing the void and collapsing the space. Lowly human, you go die first. At the same time, Gu Qi seemed to have sensed that this human was not simple. He wanted to get rid of one of them first, otherwise it would be troublesome. The energy of the remnant soul erupted, and the mysterious runes on the talisman began to fluctuate. It was as if dark clouds were spinning and pressing down on Du Xiaofu. I gave you face, didn't I? Du Xiaofu's face was gloomy. He suddenly raised his head, and ancient runes rippled out from his body. In an instant, the outline of an 8 trigrams void diagram appeared in the vast void. Qin, Kurin, Zhen, Sun, Kan, Li Jin, Dui. The 8 directions were connected to each other, forming a dazzling divine ring that spread out in all directions. Boom! When the 8 trigrams appeared in the void, beasts roared, lightning struck. The golden rock flapped its wings, mountains and lakes evolved, wind, rain, thunder and lightning alternated, and the sun, moon, and stars changed. This void 8 trigrams diagram was connected to the heavens and earth and contained all things. It was like a small world, or even a small universe. The monstrous energy of the remnant souls swept over like a dark cloud. It was affected a lot, and even the edges were disintegrating. What kind of method is this? Gu Ying exclaimed. There was actually an aura within that strange technique that caused his heart to faintly tremble. Rock descends to the 9th heaven. Boom! Sky-shaking wings. Boom! At the same time, on the 8 trigrams diagram, Du Xiaofu was like a god in the sky. The Golden Rock clan also had the strongest attack power of the Yang. They were also the nemesis of these cold, evil beings. Golden light shone, accompanied by the thunder martial vein, instantly spread out with the force of lightning. Rumble. Boom. It swept out like this, and a large area of dark cloud-like energy was shattered and obliterated. Mysterious Yellow Emperor's Seal. Boom! A dazzling palm print appeared, and layers of light bloomed. Dazzling talisman patterns bloomed, and the phantoms of the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise roared out. The aura was domineering and terrifying. When such a palm print slammed down, it was incomparably domineering, and the brilliance poured down on the heavens and the earth. Under the brilliance, there was a terrifying and domineering destructive energy hidden. Sizzle. Wherever the palm print passed, the cold energy was silently annihilated. Is it a human or a golden rock? Gu Dai was more and more surprised, and he was greatly affected. That's how humans are. If you use all your strength, Gu Dai won't be able to hold on for long. Hunji was overjoyed. She didn't expect that human to be so strong. All of his cultivation methods seemed to be able to affect Gu Dai. Domineering fists. With a loud shout, Du Xiaofu shook his arm and directly blasted out. At this moment, his eyes suddenly shone with golden light, and his aura was monstrous. Boom! Boom! An incomparably domineering aura suddenly spread out from that punch, causing the 8 trigrams diagram to shake violently. Sizzle. Wherever this punch passed, the space almost collapsed, revealing traces of a vacuum. It seems that I really need some means to deal with you. At this moment, Gu Dai's cold voice sounded, and a terrifying aura surged. The space seemed to be torn apart, and a huge demonic seal appeared directly on the 8 trigrams diagram, blocking Du Xiaofu's punch. When this demonic seal appeared, it caused the 8 trigrams diagram to tremble violently, and an invisible and strange force seeped out. It was all-pervasive and could even destroy one's primordial spirit. Sizzle. The fist collided with the demonic seal, and a large area of the void shattered silently in an instant. The terrifying power of the divine soul swept out, and the terror was monstrous. Thud, thud. Inside the 8 trigrams diagram, Du Xiaofu was forced back one after another. Even the 8 trigrams diagram was set off huge waves, revealing traces of cracks. Too strong. Sizzle. Du Xiaofu was secretly moved. This Gu Dai was too strong. Continue. Sizzle. Gu Dai's strength also aroused Du Xiaofu's fighting spirit. His eyes flashed with violent lightning, shooting out purple-gold lightning. In an instant, Du Xiaofu's eyes shone like 2 purple-gold suns, and the domineering and terrifying aura caused the space to rumble. In the next moment, a dazzling purple-gold lightning arc surged out from Du Xiaofu's golden body, and a supreme aura filled the air, suppressing the world. At this moment, the dazzling purple-gold lightning arc swept out, and the purple-gold talisman runes flickered, sweeping across the sky. It could not be provoked, and it also swept out with a murderous aura. Gee. The purple-gold lightning arc spread out in all directions in the 8 trigrams diagram, like a sun rising in the 8 trigrams diagram. Countless purple-gold lightning arcs poured down, emitting a blazing brilliance. A huge purple-gold thunder rock phantom then flapped its wings and soared into the sky. The purple-gold thunder rock phantom enveloped Du Xiaofu's figure, and the 8 trigrams diagram in the void merged into one, wanting to soar into the sky. Continue. Gee. Du Xiaofu shouted. It was like the cry of a rock, piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks. It stirred up monstrous lightning that rose and fell like a vast ocean, as if it wanted to stir the void upside down. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was enveloped in the purple-gold thunder rock, as if he had transformed into a real golden-winged rock. Du Xiaofu directly crossed the void to suppress Long Yi. The phantom behind him spread out its huge wings, and purple-gold lightning arcs sparkled all over its body. Its ferocious aura spread out, causing the entire world to tremble. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams diagram in the void, the lightning martial vein, and the golden-winged rock supreme beast could merge into one. Such a huge power caused the universe to turn upside down and the void to rumble. The huge purple-gold thunder rock soared through the sky, and with a vast and unprovoking aura, it directly pounced on the majestic soul energy around Gu Dai. Is it a human or a golden-winged rock? Gu Dai. At this moment, the The surrounding soul energy had already been secretly shattered and destroyed. Chi La, the purple-gold thunder rock, soared through the sky, and with its wings spread, it seemed to cover the clouds in the sky. Accompanied by resplendent lightning, its claws tore through the void, and like 5 huge purple-gold lightning bolts, it swept through the vast soul tornado. Walala, at this moment, under this terrifying power, the colding energy around Gu Dai also collapsed inch by inch. Hunji took advantage of this and suppressed it, finally completely destroying the energy storm around the light. Lowly human, you have angered me. Chi La, the tornado, was torn apart, and a huge black figure appeared in the void. A hair-raising aura appeared in Du Xiaofu's heart. Suddenly, his gaze fiercely trembled, and he looked up. Gu Dai, that huge figure, was in the sky, and its terrifying aura was able to cause the 8 trigrams diagram to become chaotic. The remnant soul energy in the surroundings surged around that huge figure, making it look like a demon. The huge figure was covered in black light, and the eyes looking down below were pitch black and deep, like a black hole. The surrounding energy of heaven and earth was also chaotic because of his appearance. Lowly human. Chi. As Gu Dai appeared, she stared at Du Xiaofu, but did not stop. From the huge void above, a strange black ripple spread out, layer upon layer, shaking the void, enveloping and spreading out and engulfing Du Xiaofu. Chi. Chi. The rock's cry pierced the clouds and cracked the stone. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and the image of the purple-gold thunder rock spiraled out, appearing in the sky and skyrocketing. Chi, the purple-gold thunder rock, released an endless domineering pressure. As it spread its wings, purple-gold lightning flashed, and its ferocious aura covered the sky. The supreme beast aura spread, causing the 9 heavens to tremble. Rumble, the purple-gold thunder rock, swept out with its wings, and its body was covered in purple-gold lightning. In the rapidly distorting space, it finally gathered into a huge purple-gold lightning bolt that soared into the sky and swept into the monstrous demonic aura, and a vast and domineering pressure swept out. The purple-gold thunder rock and the surging aura of the remnant souls collided, and countless purple-gold lightning bolts fell from the sky like a waterfall. A large area of the void collapsed into a pitch-black void. Within the 8 trigrams void diagram, a crude talisman rune condensed into a stalk of grass that flew out. This stalk of grass was the nether cave grass. Its spirit leaves were slender, and it looked like a real object, with talisman runes flashing. As the nether cave grass flew out, a pressure descended from the sky, and its aura spread out, purifying the spiritual altar and suppressing all evil. Swoosh swoosh. Chi. The talisman runes on the nether cave grass turned into a beam of light, suppressing all evil spirits. Bang bang bang, a large number of Gu Dai's remnant souls were destroyed, and the spirit energy swept out. It's actually the nether cave grass. Hunji was also secretly surprised. At this moment, all the methods that the human had used shocked her, and she did not dare to touch him. She could only face him and suppress Gu Dai. Gu Dai, continue. Chi. Hunji's delicate voice, and she immediately attacked Gu Dai. Bitch, you and this lowly human will die today. Oomph. Gu Dai was obviously afraid of Hunji and did not dare to be careless. This human had exceeded his expectations time and time again, using all kinds of methods to suppress him. He was furious. Du Xiaofu activated the 8 trigrams profound meaning in the thunder martial vein, especially the nether cave grass, and displayed its power. Du Xiaofu used all his strength, and with the golden rock wings, the azure spirit armor, the thunder profound meaning, and Hunji, they temporarily blocked Gu Dai. Human, you're still lacking a little. What other methods do you have? You can use them all. This way, we'll be able to suppress Gu Dai. Hunji said to Du Xiaofu, I'm already using all my strength. Du Xiaofu was not stupid. Using all his strength and leaving no way out was not Du Xiaofu's usual style. She seemed to sense that this human might have other methods, so she continued to say to Du Xiaofu, Don't worry. As long as you help me get rid of Gu Dai today, I, Hunji, will owe you a favor. Aside from taking you to the place where the greatest secret of time is buried, I also have other treasures that will definitely satisfy you. If Gudai escapes today, I won't fear him when he recovers. But with his personality, if you deal with him today and ruin his plans, he definitely won't let you off. Bitch, how long do you think this lowly human can last? You want to kill me? How laughable. It'll be good if you don't die today. Gudai shouted angrily. This place was advantageous for them, but for humans, once exhausted, it was extremely difficult to recover. The life force here was dim, and there was no energy of heaven and earth. Once this human was exhausted and couldn't hold on, he would freeze and suppress him again. Human, you have to use all your strength and end this quickly. Otherwise, it'll be bad for us. I promise to compensate you when the time comes. You'll definitely be satisfied. Hunji said. She was indeed worried as Gudai had said. Let's go all out. Go. Du Xiaofu clenched his teeth. Since he had already taken action today, he could only make one choice. If he couldn't completely deal with Gudai, it would indeed be even more disadvantageous for him. As Du Xiaofu clenched his teeth, a silver-gold bolt of lightning erupted from the purple-gold Thunder Rock's forehead. Boom, boom. At this moment, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, turning into all kinds of lightning that covered the sky. The pressure of the lightning filled the sky, drowning out the void. It contained the pressure of the great earth-shattering thunder, soul-destroying thunder, great in-sky thunder, and 3,000 shaking thunder. The arcs of lightning were boundless, and the lightning runes were densely packed, illuminating the void. In the dazzling destructive lightning that filled the sky, a huge red-bone horse monkey rushed out, releasing a violent and destructive pressure in an instant. Rumble, silver-gold lightning swept out and covered the sky. Roar, roar. The red-bone horse monkey roared, and its eyes seemed to contain two golden suns. Silver-gold light filled the air and poured out in all directions. This was Du Xiaofu's red-bone horse monkey primordial spirit, which already contained 6 types of spiritual lightning. It could be said that Du Xiaofu's physical body was monstrous to the point of being monstrous, but the monstrous degree of his primordial spirit was absolutely not inferior to it. As for Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit, not only had it fused with the spiritual thunder, but it had also fused with the pulse soul. Instantly, the huge red-bone horse monkey's body erupted with golden light. Its spirit eyes looked down, and its pressure was like the beginning of the world. It swept out in all directions, wanting to shatter the void. The red-bone horse monkey primordial spirit's body pounced forward, and a monstrous lightning aura immediately spread out from its body. A lightning storm swept out, instantly filling the sky. Monstrous lightning surged, and the wind and clouds surged in the entire space. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and the void trembled. Spiritual lightning. This is spiritual lightning. Several types of spiritual lightning in one body. How is this possible? When the lightning covered the void, Gudai couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Chapter 24:44. There was an inexplicable fear in Guqi's voice at this moment. Within the cold storm, Hunji also seemed to be stunned at this moment. She was also greatly affected by the terrifying spiritual lightning. The Yuan spirit's crimson horse monkey body appeared. Dazzling silver-gold lightning streaked across the sky. The wind and clouds suddenly changed color and thunderclouds gathered. Asterisk rumble. Asterisk bolts of lightning filled with heart-palpitating silver-gold lightning. An enormous aura that made one's heart palpitate immediately spread, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. What was even worse was that the silver silk soul devouring lightning could no longer be suppressed. As Du Xiaofu released it, it became even more intense, as though it was an instinct. Amidst the resplendent lightning that filled the sky, it condensed into a huge lightning tree. A terrifying devouring power spread out from the silver-gold lightning tree. Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit was originally in the form of the Silvernet Soul devouring lightning. However, the Silvernet Soul devouring lightning was the most excited at this moment. Mysterious runes covered the entire tree. An ancient and domineering aura that could not be provoked contained violent destruction. When Du Xiaofu's spiritual lightning appeared, The terrifying energy contained in Gu Qi's huge body suddenly trembled. At this moment, an enormous devouring power swept out from the silver-gold lightning tree, causing it to collapse. Asterisk rumble. Asterisk lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The silver-gold lightning tree emitted an ancient pressure and aura. Mysterious runes erupted and directly devoured the surging spirit energy around Gu Qi. At the same time, arcs of lightning filled the sky under the silver-gold lightning tree. They surged into the monstrous spirit energy around Gu Qi like roots and sprouted. They forcibly absorbed the energy around Gu Qi as if to satisfy the energy needed to take root and germinate. Asterisk crack crack. Asterisk under everyone's stunned gazes, a strange and shocking scene appeared in the sky. As the silver-gold lightning tree appeared, the space around Gu Qi began to distort. The surging energy seemed to be withering as it began to shrink and disappear. At this moment, Hunji could clearly understand that this was because the silver-gold lightning tree was absorbing Gu Qi's spirit energy. The silvernet soul devouring lightning can really devour. Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up with joy. At this moment, he could clearly feel that the silvernet soul devouring lightning could really devour the energy of Gu Qi. Bastard! At this moment, Gu Dai was stunned. The thunder martial vein and other means were enough to suppress him. At this moment, with the addition of the spiritual thunder and several types of spiritual thunder, it was one disaster after another. He had never thought that the spiritual thunder could devour him. Chi la la, as the silver-gold lightning tree swallowed. The surging spirit energy around Gu Qi dissipated at a frightening speed. Bitch, lowly human, I will not let you off. The beam of light roared in anger. Its gigantic body had already begun to leave. Vast and mighty energy fluctuations rippled outwards, as if it wanted to forcibly tear apart space and leave. Where are you going? Seeing that the silvernet soul devouring lightning could still devour the benefits, how could Du Xiaofu miss this opportunity? The thunder martial vein and the scarlet horse monkey's origin spirit erupted at the same time. Thunder and lightning intertwined and fused into purple-gold lightning, which hung in the sky like a purple waterfall. A powerful thunderous pressure spread out from it. At this moment, Gu Qi's heart instinctively trembled. Such a powerful thunderous power was something that its spirit body was naturally afraid of. Woo-woo, woo-woo. The ferocious phantoms that had condensed around the beam of light were greatly affected at this moment. They immediately became afraid, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Within the dense purple lightning, a terrifying energy fluctuation spread out. The surrounding space cracked inch by inch as the electric light spread out. Rumble. Woo-woo. Countless bolts of lightning descended from the sky, and the entire space was filled with rumbling sounds. Wherever the bolts of lightning passed, space also collapsed with a loud bang. The ferocious phantoms were instantly shattered and destroyed. Rumble. Rumble. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein, spiritual thunder, dark insight grass, and lightning mysteries moved together and bombarded Gu Qi. Bolts of lightning swept down. Bastard. Rumble. Gu Qi shouted in a gloomy voice, and a vast murderous aura and spirit energy spread out. Gu Qi, you deserve this. Rumble. Hunji sneered and found an opportunity. The terrifying cold energy of the spirit remnant swept out and kept attacking Gu Qi. Rumble. Rumble. Space rumbled as bolts of dazzling lightning struck the space around Gu Ming. Under the power of the lightning, space began to crack. Dazzling lightning overflowed, and the surrounding space collapsed inch by inch. Rumble. Rumble. Du Xiaofu would not let go of this opportunity. Bolts of lightning bombarded Gu Qi in an instant. Gu Qi's body was huge and surging with energy, but it was simply a living target. It could not dodge the lightning that filled the sky. In an instant, Gu Qi was hit by dozens of bolts of lightning. Its huge body trembled, and it seemed a little weak, faintly showing signs of fading. Gu Qi had never thought that the human in front of him would possess the lightning power and all kinds of means that he feared the most. The cultivation of this human was obviously at the late stage of the sage realm. So, His fighting strength was comparable to that of the sage accomplished realm in addition to his terrifying means. At this moment, Gu Qi's eyes were solemn. Finally, he realized the danger, and his huge body fled quickly. Gu Qi, this is the consequence you have to bear. Now, you can't escape. Qi Hunji continued to suppress Gu Qi. At this moment, she seemed to have used all her strength. A monstrous and awe-inspiring spirit aura spread out, and the entire space trembled. Huff! Monstrous murderous aura and spirit energy surged out and instantly filled the air. It was like a tornado was released, and it directly swept Gu Qi in it. Whoosh! At the edge of the surrounding space, the space collapsed inch by inch, revealing pitch-black spatial cracks. Bitch, I won't let you go. Roar. Gu Qi's voice kept ringing out. His roar was terrifying, and the surging aura of remnant souls and Yuan spirits surged out. At this moment, Hunji seemed to have complete control of the situation. She suppressed Gu Qi and no longer paid attention to him. Instead, she said to Du Xiaofu, "Human, you can stop now. You can leave Gu Qi to me. After I deal with him, I will take you to find the greatest secret buried in this world. I will also give you great benefits." Roar. Human, don't believe this bitch. After this bitch devours me, she won't let you go. Gu Qi shouted. At this moment, his attitude towards Du Xiaofu suddenly became better. Human, let's reconcile. As long as you help me deal with Hunji, I will double what Hunji promised you. I am much more trustworthy than this bitch. Roar. Gu Qi, why fight like a cornered beast? We have fought for countless years. Today, everything should end. Roar. As Hunji's voice fell, the enormous tornado released soul fluctuations and baleful aura that grew stronger and stronger, sweeping towards Gu Qi. But at this moment, although Du Xiaofu no longer attacked and the purple-gold thunder rock withdrew, the spiritual thunder in his Yuan spirit did not. The silvernet soul devouring lightning became more and more excited. Silver-gold lightning trees densely covered the void. Arcs of lightning were like roots that took root in the surging remnant soul energy around Gu Qi. It seemed to instinctively devour the vast and boundless soul energy. This devouring speed seemed to not be any slower than Hunji's. It might even be faster. Human, you can stop now. As if sensing something, Hunji said to Du Xiaofu, "To tell you the truth, I can't control this spiritual thunder at all. Stop." Du Xiaofu's expression remained unchanged. He could sense that the surging soul energy was greatly beneficial to the silvernet soul devouring lightning. It could be directly refined, so how could Du Xiaofu not interfere? At this moment, Hunji was clearly devouring Gu Qi. Du Xiaofu estimated that whoever devoured Gu Qi would cause the strength of the other to skyrocket. Since that was the case, his silvernet soul devouring lightning could do the same. He naturally couldn't let go of such a benefit. If he let Hunji reap all the benefits alone, it would be even more troublesome if she attacked him in the future. What? Human? Are you joking? How can you not control this spiritual thunder? Hunji was clearly surprised to hear Du Xiaofu's words. She seemed very surprised and shocked. She hadn't thought that the human could absorb Gu Qi's energy. It should have completely belonged to her. According to Hunji's plan, if she could completely devour Gu Qi, no one here would be a match for her. Who would have thought that at this time, although the human had helped her deal with Gu Qi, he would also come to plunder the benefits? This is spiritual thunder. How can I control it completely? This spiritual thunder is very mysterious in my body. I can't control it, but it won't harm me either. Du Xiaofu naturally wouldn't miss such a benefit. He pushed all the blame to the spiritual thunder. Human, you. Hunji was speechless. Although she didn't believe it, she also thought about it. It seemed that there were several types of spiritual thunder in the human's body. What kind of spiritual object was spiritual thunder? How could it be controlled by a human? Du Xiaofu didn't say anything, allowing the silvernet soul devouring lightning to devour the surging energy. Human, believe me, Hunji is a bitch. Don't believe her. She's the most dangerous. After she devours me, she won't let you go. She won't give you the greatest secret buried in this world. If you want to help me kill her, I promise I'll take you to find the greatest secret buried in this world and give you all the benefits you want. Spirit. Guqi's voice rang out from the surging Earth Soul tornado. Her voice was much weaker, as if she was suffering a great impact and heavy injury. Struggle before death. It's all over. Hunji's delicate voice rang out as she continued to devour Guqi. Chapter 24:45. As his voice fell, spirit energy that was filled with a gloomy howl of killing intent surged in this part of the world. Hunji, you bitch, you lowly human, you will regret this. Guqi's voice grew softer and softer. After a series of miserable screams, there was no more sound. Inside the surging storm of fiendish spirit energy, Du Xiaofu's gaze was slightly solemn, but he also took the opportunity to use the Silvernet Soul devouring lightning to continuously devour the energy. Hunji seemed to sense something and stopped talking. She secretly sped up her devouring, but she also seemed to be afraid of the power of thunder and lightning and did not dare to approach Du Xiaofu. This lasted for a very long time. After about several hours, the huge and awe-inspiring spirit tornado around Guqi finally stopped. When the last remaining energy was taken over by the Silvernet Soul devouring lightning, several bolts of lightning had taken root in it, making Hunji not dare to touch it. Human, can you control it now? Quickly put away this spirit lightning, Hunji called out. The spirit lightning had taken over the last large portion of Guqi's energy, making her not dare to approach it. I said, I can't control it. Du Xiaofu shook his head. Hunji seemed to be angry, but there was nothing she could do. The cold energy around her disappeared with a hiss. When the tornado of remnant souls that covered the sky completely disappeared, a graceful figure appeared. Her face was extremely beautiful, and her figure was curvaceous. Her body gave off a faint, cold, fiendish aura that made one's heart tremble at a glance, as if she was a witch from hell. I promised you, I will definitely do it.
Yes.
Hunji looked at Du Xiaofu. On her beautiful face, a cold aura spread out from her eyes, as if one's spirit would tremble at a glance. That's good.
Yes.
Du Xiaofu looked at Soul Concubine in front of him and nodded slightly. However, he was secretly on guard. Why do you have so much Turin lightning on you? Hunji looked at Du Xiaofu, but her gaze was always on the giant lightning tree. Her eyes trembled inwardly. It was a coincidence. Du Xiaofu did not plan to say much. Hunji glanced at Du Xiaofu. She seemed to know that she could not get anything out of him, so she did not ask any more questions. She was a bit reluctant to part with the last ball, and then she whispered to Du Xiaofu, "Give me some time. I need time to recover. I will naturally take you there." How long? Du Xiaofu was very worried that Hunji would turn against him when the time came. However, the greatest secret buried in this world left Du Xiaofu with no other choice. It won't be long. What I promised you will be counted. As Hunji's voice fell, her graceful and exquisite body gave off the allure of a demoness. She then sat down cross-legged not far away. Her eyes were slightly shut, and a cold aura spread around her. She seemed to be beginning her breathing. Du Xiaofu raised his eyes. After watching for a while, he was secretly on guard, waiting for the Silvernet soul-devouring lightning to finish. 2 hours later, the Silvernet soul-devouring lightning finished. Du Xiaofu withdrew the Silvernet soul-devouring lightning, and the Scarlet Horse Monkey's body returned to his Naiwan palace. Boom! A mighty wave of energy erupted from his Naiwan palace, causing Du Xiaofu's head to tremble. This surge of energy was too shocking. How can it be so strong? Du Xiaofu was also shocked. His primordial spirit returned to his Naiwan palace. Only then did he realize that the Gu Dai's energy had reached such a terrifying level. It was too surging, and it was almost about to explode in his Naiwan palace. Without any hesitation, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit directly sat cross-legged on the 9 Revolutions Divine Lei Lian and began to refine the energy that had been devoured. The Silvernet soul-devouring lightning would automatically refine it. The mysterious, incomplete cultivation method that had always existed in his mind released an ancient aura. It was as if it was shining, and it actually began to directly suppress the surging energy, causing Du Xiaofu to immediately feel much better. Phew! Du Xiaofu heaved a sigh of relief, but he was still secretly shocked. He had indeed underestimated the Gu Dai. He had absorbed half of the energy, but it was still so terrifying. As Du Xiaofu's main body also sat cross-legged, the primordial spirit lightning in his mind refined the majestic energy. Although the energy seemed to be greatly beneficial to the primordial spirit, it could also nourish the body a lot. Looks like the real danger is inside. Phew, Du Xiaofu pondered. He had never thought that there would be strange experts like the Gu Dai and Hunji in the pit. Both of them were comparable to the experts who had emerged from the Tomb of Eternity. No wonder so many saints had entered but never returned. Gu Dai and Hunji's strength was enough to prove that the Heaven Burial Deathland was extraordinarily dangerous. After pondering for a while, Du Xiaofu stopped thinking about it. He was wary of Hunji, and he did not dare to do anything else. He only hoped that his primordial spirit could refine the majestic energy as soon as possible. There was no sun, moon, or stars in the pit. Everything was dim, and time slowly passed. Phew! After an unknown period of time, Hunji stopped. She took a deep breath and exhaled a mouthful of murky, cold air. Immediately, the space in front of her seemed to be filled with an icy current that whistled past. It was soul-shaking. At the same time, Soul Concubine's lithe and exquisite body slowly stood up. She stretched lazily, showing off her curves. Afterwards, Hunji's gaze landed on Du Xiaofu. She carefully studied Du Xiaofu, and her eyes seemed to be filled with surprise and surprise. What, do you want to attack me? Calm. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's indifferent voice rang out from his mouth. His slightly closed eyes also opened, and lightning flashed in them. I'll do what I promised you. There's no need to worry. All right. Hunji stared at Du Xiaofu. A ripple of light flickered through her eyes without leaving a trace. Good. All right. Du Xiaofu nodded and slowly stood up. He looked at Soul Concubine. She was a strange woman, and he couldn't see through her. Even her terrifying aura was completely hidden. Even with the power of his nascent divinity, he could barely sense it. Can we go now? Asked Hunji. She was also secretly sizing up Du Xiaofu. She was also rather puzzled. She had discovered that she was unable to discover anything. Of course. Just lead the way. Yes. Du Xiaofu raised his eyes slightly. He stared at Hunji and said, You said that aside from the greatest secret buried in the world, there's also a great opportunity for me. I hope that's true. Hee hee. Hee hee. Hunji laughed when she heard that. She laughed so hard that she shook, making her curvaceous figure even more enchanting. Chapter 2446. Humans are truly greedy. Haha. Hunji's laughter faded as she looked at Du Xiaofu with a faint smile. Not far ahead is Guqi's lair. I believe there are many things inside that you will definitely like. Haha. A moment later, Du Xiaofu carefully followed Hunji to a cave that was hidden from the wind. As soon as they entered the cave, there was a flash of light. Multicolored light filled the air, flickering with talisman runes. Then, Du Xiaofu was dumbfounded. The cave was dazzling. There were scattered saint artifacts, all kinds of treasures, and even immemorial chinko pouches. There were quite a few of them altogether. There were also saint herbs, treasure herbs, and many other natural treasures. They were piled up like a small mountain and filled with rich energy fluctuations. Guqi is interested in collecting these, but they are completely useless to him. You've benefited, Hunji said indifferently. Although they were all treasures, including sacred medicines, they were completely useless to her and Guqi. Don't worry, said Hunji indifferently. I'm rich. I'm rich now. Haha. Du Xiaofu couldn't hide the smile on his face. These were treasures, not ordinary saint artifacts. They were all immemorial saint artifacts. There were also many saint herbs and natural treasures. They all came from the depths of the Heaven Burial Deathlands. The appearance of any one of them was enough to cause those experts to fight over it. Now, there was a mountain of them in front of him. I've really struck it rich. Du Xiaofu laughed. Without any hesitation, he immediately put these treasures into his own chinko pouch. These were left behind by Guqi. Don't tell me you didn't have any after all these years? After Du Xiaofu put away all the treasures, he looked at Hun Ji with anticipation. I've already given them to you. I don't have the habit of being Gucci. Hun Ji's gaze moved slightly as she rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu. Then she said, let's get ready to go. The place where the greatest secret of this world is buried is extremely far away. It will be very dangerous along the way. You have to be prepared. Haha. Could it be that this place is also dangerous for you? Du Xiaofu frowned slightly. With Hun Ji's strength, she was the greatest danger in this Deathlands. Normal dangerous places are fine, but this place is definitely not simple. Especially that place. Hun Ji's eyes flickered as she said, this place is extremely dangerous. There are some places that even I don't dare to enter carelessly. The place where the world's greatest secret lies is even more dangerous. What is the greatest secret of the world? Do Hun Ji. However, Hun Ji shook her head and said, I don't know either. It's just that many people have come here before, and many of them died. Their remnant souls contain information about the greatest secrets of this world. Adding on the fact that I've been here for countless years, I know a bit. However, Gucci and I don't know what is buried here. We only know that it contains the greatest secrets buried in this world, and it is also the most dangerous place here. Du Xiaofu's eyes moved. He didn't know if Hun Ji was telling the truth or not. Let's go. Afterwards, Du Xiaofu left under Soul Concubine's lead. Along the way, Soul Concubine kept trying to get information out of Du Xiaofu, but Du Xiaofu brushed her off. However, Du Xiaofu wasn't able to obtain any useful information from Soul Concubine. After you devoured Gu Qi, I wonder how strong you are now? Du Xiaofu was also very curious about Soul Concubine's cultivation level, but he was unable to pry into it with his mind. According to the comparison of your cultivation bases, my cultivation base should be at the Sage Perfection realm. Soul Concubine said quietly. Du Xiaofu wasn't surprised. Soul Concubine's strength didn't seem to be any weaker than Lei Tianhuang's, not to mention the fact that she had devoured Gu Qi not long ago. What's the use of your spirit lightning devouring Gu Dai's energy? Soul Concubine suddenly asked Du Xiaofu. I don't know either. I can't fully control the spirit lightning in my body. They're just lodging in my body. Du Xiaofu naturally wouldn't tell the truth. The depths of the heaven burial wasteland were vast, much larger than Du Xiaofu had imagined. However, with Soul Concubine around, Du Xiaofu didn't encounter any danger. Even so, Du Xiaofu didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. Based on Du Xiaofu's understanding of this space, the heaven burial wasteland was full of dangers. There were danger zones and ancient formations everywhere. If one wasn't careful and got trapped in a dangerous zone, it would be difficult to escape. Swish, swish, two figures shuttled through the dark and lifeless space like lightning, flashing through the void and heading toward the place where the world's greatest secret was buried. The space was dark and gloomy. There were dark clouds looming over the dusky sky. Swish, swish, swish. Talisman runes flickered, energy fluctuated, and the wind howled. Energy arrows condensed from talisman runes shot out from all directions. Every single one of these energy arrows pierced through space, slicing open spatial fissures as they swept towards a tall and straight figure. Rumble, rumble. In the space where the light arrows covered the sky, wind and thunder resounded. The light around the tall and straight figure was monstrous. A terrifying aura swept out, spreading out with a vast and unparalleled aura. The aura filled the sky and shook the soul. There was even an aura that made one's spirit tremble. Open, rumble. Suddenly, the tall and straight figure let out a soft cry and tore open the space before him. The terrifying energy arrows around him also disappeared. That was close. This place is really dangerous. Rumble. The tall and straight figure dashed out with a pale complexion. It was World Society's Chenggu Yu. In the vast mountains, white bones were everywhere. Scattered huge skeletons and blood-stained ground and rocks could be seen from time to time. However, with the passage of time, the color had faded. A beautiful woman appeared in the mountains. Her figure was graceful and her black hair was tied up in a princess bun. A colorful hairpin shone brightly with a few tassels hanging down. Her skin was as white as snow. The woman's complexion was smooth, and her lips were like cherry blossoms. She was so refined that she didn't seem to have the slightest trace of the mortal world. She wore a patterned pleated skirt that exposed her snow-white breasts. The hem of the skirt only covered her knees, making her pair of long and slender legs seem even taller. She also wore a rainbow-colored belt around her waist, which made her slender waist seem even more slender, and made her breasts seem even more plump and full. This was Huang Ling, of the Phoenix clan. At this moment, she seemed to have a lot of injuries on her body. Her face was slightly pale, and her expression was dignified as she vigilantly looked around. "Come out! Come out!" At this moment, Huang Ling, suddenly turned around. Mysterious chi surged around her body, and a vast aura gushed out in an instant. Boom! Boom! At the same time, a majestic, mysterious chi storm, with Huang Ling's delicate body as the center, instantly enveloped the surrounding air. Blazing and gorgeous flames swept out and fluctuated in an instant. Chi La within the void. A strange figure suddenly swept out and pounced straight at Huang Ling. Huang Ling's expression changed. The blazing flames around her suddenly surged toward the strange figure, causing ripples to surge violently. A monstrous blazing aura spread out from all directions. Under the majestic power, it was as if the space was going to be burned clean. In the midst of the monstrous blazing flames, facing Huang Ling's attack, the strange figure released all of its aura. An incomparably cold divine soul aura condensed into a light screen in front of it and enveloped it. On the strange light screen, strange talisman patterns flickered. Huang Ling, of the Phoenix clan, is this all you've got? Boom. Chapter 2447. Translator. H2DH2, Mr. The strange figure, seemed to have been somewhat suppressed by the torrential flames. However, it was completely unharmed and could not do anything to it. Huang Ling's beautiful seven-colored eyes turned serious. Her pupils darkened, and majestic five-colored flames with 7 colors surged out from her graceful body. The mysterious runes on the talisman flickered, and a resplendent light leaped out, carrying a majestic aura that overflowed the heavens. It transformed into a huge illusory phoenix in midair. Coo! The illusory phoenix spread its wings like a living creature. With a flap of its wings, it carried the sound of wind and thunder, carrying the supreme beast might of the Phoenix clan. Like a blazing meteor, it viciously charged towards the strange figure. "You do have some ability, but it's still not enough." The strange figure's gaze darkened, and he formed a seal with his hands. A terrifying wave of light surged from his body, accompanied by waves of energy. Within this light, there seemed to be an aura that was completely opposite to his own. Rumble. In this instant, the dim sky and earth suddenly changed. Tens of thousands of strange runes appeared, stirring up waves of air that overflowed the heavens. In the end, the strange runes interweaved like ocean waves, turning into a frightening storm. Accompanied by a kind of pressure, it directly enveloped the illusory phoenix. The storm spun like a vortex in the void. It was filled with an aura that could devour everything and suppress all living things. Boom! Boom! As the illusory phoenix and the storm vortex collided, the sky above this area began to rumble, emitting a strange rumbling sound. It was as if someone was heavily hammering the heart and the primordial spirit, causing one's soul to shatter and tremble in fear. The illusory phoenix did not remain in a stalemate for long, and in an instant, it collapsed. The huge illusory figure abruptly turned into flame fragments, and the runes were obliterated. Huang Ling's face paled, and her delicate body staggered back a step. "This is not enough." Boom! A cold voice rang out. The strange figure's robes fluttered, and he appeared in front of Huang Ling like a bolt of lightning. Then, he punched out. Huang Ling wanted to avoid it, but it was already too late. Her beautiful eyes were dignified. In just an instant, an astonishing blazing aura swept out from her body like a storm, shaking the surrounding void like the trembling of wind and thunder. The energy that blotted out the sky and covered the earth erupted along with the faint, 7-colored blazing runes. Boom! With a wave of her slender arm, Huang Linger directly met the attack with a punch. A spatial vortex seemed to have formed in front of her fist. Blazing flame runes erupted, as if condensing into a seven-colored phoenix that spread its wings and soared high into the sky. Walala! When such a punch was formed in an instant, the surrounding space was densely covered with blazing spatial cracks. The formless energy was able to confine the space, and the supreme beast might spread out in all directions, causing the space to emit a sonorous rumbling sound. It was as if meteorites were exploding with divine fire as they collided directly. The two fists collided, and this kind of impact produced a series of muffled clangs, which made one's soul feel like it was about to explode. Walala! The seven-colored blazing flames swept out like a sea of fire, and in an instant, thousands of huge waves appeared in the void. The surrounding space was shattered in an instant, and the pitch-black spatial cracks in the surrounding void were like spider webs. Poochie! Huang Linger vomited blood, and her delicate body was directly sent flying. Her eyes became gloomier. Kiki, Huang Linger of the Phoenix clan, is only SOSO. Chi! The strange figure swept across the sky and pounced forward again. Huang Linger stabilized her body. Her eyes were dignified, and as if a raging flame had begun to burn, the aura on her body fluctuated. In the next moment, a huge, five-colored phoenix appeared in the void. Faint seven-colored flames boiled and burned. With a flap of its wings, the entire void shook. From the huge phoenix's body, a terrifying pressure spread out, causing all beasts to tremble. It covered the sky as if it covered the sun, and made people feel small and shocked. Chi! Chi! The phoenix's cry resounded through the sky. Huang Linger used her true body. From the huge phoenix's body, rolling flame rose up, covering the sky and covering the earth. That terrifying power and blazing heat burned the surrounding void into a vacuum. The strange figure slightly paused, looked at Huang Linger's true body and said, "Now it's a bit more interesting." Chi! Walala! Chi! Huang Linger did not say anything. The raging flames that covered the sky spread out, and the phoenix's flames that covered the sky and covered the earth surged like a torrential flood. Stormy waves appeared in the sea, bright and deep. Under the terrifying power that incessantly burned a vacuum, the strange figure was engulfed in an instant. The monstrous flames seemed to be able to destroy everything, and the terrifying heat was enough to burn all living things. "It's over. You are no longer my opponent." Chi! The strange figure's voice was emitted from the monstrous flames. As his voice sounded, a vast aura swept out. It was accompanied by a strange surge of crimson smoke. Black fiendish aura surged. A handprint rushed out like a dark cloud. It crushed the void and heavily struck Huang Linger's body. This kind of handprint was incomparably strange, and its aura was terrifying. It directly swept towards Huang Linger and immediately wrapped her within. The space around the handprint directly collapsed inch by inch and was destroyed into the void. It was enough to destroy the raging flame runes on Huang Linger's body and crush everything. PFFF, Huang Linger's true body vomited blood, and a bloody mist poured out. She was completely no match. Phoenix Clan, Chi, it's over. Chi! The strange figure appeared, and its voice was sinister. A fist broke the void and directly attacked Huang Linger. Huang Linger was already seriously injured, and her huge true body was forced back. It was impossible for her to resist. Chila, at this critical moment, a strange fluctuation appeared in the space. A purple-robed figure appeared in front of Huang Linger. In the face of this frightening punch, it was as though it was nothing. An incomparably overbearing aura that looked down on all living things suddenly swept out. He lifted his hand and forcefully blocked it with a punch. Roar! Roar! This punch was faintly accompanied by the roar of dragons and the trumpeting of divine elephants, causing the void to rumble. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Wherever the fist passed, the void exploded as if it was about to collapse. The ground below cracked continuously, and the rocks on the mountain collapsed. The terrifying rune ripples were like a tsunami, and it suddenly swept out in the void, as if it was going to destroy everything. The two fists collided in an instant, and a monstrous energy burst out in an instant. A terrifying energy storm swept out in all directions. At this moment, the void violently shook, and the invisible domineering aura shook the space, and the space rippled endlessly. It was as if thunder rumbled between heaven and earth. Ding, ding! The void trembled, and the strange figure staggered back. The void under his feet shattered, and the strange aura around him dimmed at this moment, as if it was being wiped out by something. A pair of astonished eyes stared at Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu also stared at the strange figure in front of him at this moment, and he seemed to feel a kind of familiar aura. This aura was very complicated, but also very familiar, as if he had come into contact with it somewhere before. The opponent's strength was actually so strong, but so strange, as if they had never fought before. This made Du Xiaofu feel strange. From the aura, this person didn't seem like an old man, and should be very young. This made Du Xiaofu feel even more strange. Chapter 2448. Translator. H2-2 Mr. Du Xiaofu. The strange figure exclaimed in shock, its gaze seemingly rippling. Rock Emperor. Haha. Seeing the figure that had suddenly appeared before her, Huang Linger's solemn, rainbow-colored eyes immediately surged with joy. Her huge body retracted, and her figure instantly appeared by Du Xiaofu's side. Are you all right? Du Xiaofu looked at Huang Linger. Her injuries were not light. It seemed that the strange figure before them was not ordinary. I'm all right, but I'm afraid I'll need to recuperate for some time. Huang Linger smiled bitterly. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu had appeared. Otherwise, she knew that at this moment, the consequences would most likely be too horrible to contemplate. Kikik, a sinister, cold laugh came from the mouth of the strange figure. The surrounding strange aura covered the void, bringing with it an extremely cold aura. However, when this sinister laugh came out, there was also a faint, unparalleled pressure descending from the heavens above. Space shook. This aura seems familiar. This aura was very complex, as if two completely opposite auras had fused into one person's body at this moment, causing Du Xiaofu to be inwardly astonished. You know me? Haha. Du Xiaofu looked at the strange figure and asked, So what if I know you? I didn't expect to meet you here. Very well, let me see for myself just how strong you are now. The strange figure looked at Du Xiaofu and spoke. The surrounding strange aura covered the void, making it impossible for others to pry into it. Boom, boom. And when the voice fell, a terrifying aura surged from within the strange figure's body, accompanied by energy surging like waves. Strange runes formed tens of thousands of strands, stirring up a monstrous air wave that turned into a terrifying storm. Accompanied by a great pressure, it directly extended towards Du Xiaofu. There's no need to hide, Du Xiaofu said in a deep voice. Dazzling golden light surged from his body, and the sky began to rumble. The golden light was boundless, and it caused the world to resonate. Ancient runes filled the air, and his body spread out in all directions, directly blocking the strange storm. I also want to tell you that it all depends on whether or not your strength is enough. The strange figure shouted coldly. Then, he appeared in front of the strange storm. Carrying with him a baleful aura that distorted the void, he soared into the sky. His energy was vast and mighty, causing the surrounding sky to darken. At this moment, a terrifying phenomenon appeared in the void above. The entire space was shaking. What a charade. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything and directly attacked. The Fuyao's skyquake wings swept out, and layers of golden talisman patterns exploded, shattering the void. Layers upon layers of golden light instantly transformed into a gigantic palm print. It was like a gigantic divine wing, causing the surrounding void to distort. The golden light palm print pierced through the void. Golden talisman patterns covered the sky and the earth. The golden light overlapped and drowned the sky. It erupted with a terrifying and domineering power from ancient times. In an instant, the golden light covered the sky like a divine wing, crushing the surrounding space. Then, it directly slammed into the former's terrifying void storm. Bang, bang, bang. Such a collision shattered the sky, and a series of terrifying roars erupted. Deep in the sky, golden light and dazzling runes were accompanied by lightning and thunder. A terrifying scene occurred in the void, revealing countless pitch-black cracks. The Fuyao Skyquake wings shattered the storm and directly exploded in the void. Dazzling light burst out. Qi, in Huang Ling Er's ear-splitting eyes, the energy around the strange figure was directly destroyed. The figure fell from the sky, crashed into the ground, and was buried by the gravel. This scene was too terrifying. It shook one's soul, and it caused Huang Ling to be surprised. She was clearly aware of how strong that strange figure was, but before Du Xiaofu, it was unable to withstand a single blow. I want to see who you are. Qi. As soon as Du Xiaofu's voice fell, his figure rushed out. The familiar aura was familiar, like an enemy, not a friend. Du Xiaofu did not want to let it go. His figure swooped down, and in a strange flash, he appeared on the ground where the strange figure had just fallen. He waved his hand, and 5 fingers formed a claw. In the palm of his hand, a golden light burst out and tore the void. Woo-woo. Qi. Suddenly, at this moment, a terrifying cold aura swept out, shaking the void and distorting space. It swept down toward Du Xiaofu with an earth-shattering force. That terrifying aura seemed to have opened the gates of hell, making people feel uneasy. The murderous aura covered the sky and shattered the void. In an instant, it suppressed Du Xiaofu. Under such an aura, Du Xiaofu had to stop. Suddenly, he raised his head slightly, and his face sank. He did not dodge or retreat. Instead, he advanced. His claw turned into a palm, and a purple flame billowed out. The purple talisman pattern burst out and turned into a purple flame demon phoenix. Walala! Around the purple flame demon phoenix, a terrifying sea of fire appeared and swept out in all directions. It was as if it covered the sky and the sun, enveloping this part of the world. The blazing high temperature, like the descent of the heavenly fire, made people's skin burn, their souls wither, and the space was distorted by the burning. This terrifying blazing aura, with a destructive force, burned all the murderous aura that covered the sky and the sun. The sea of fire turned into huge waves that swept out in all directions, annihilating everything. Go, go. At the same time, a voice was heard. A figure strangely appeared in the rubble that had just fallen, and then disappeared. Go. Du Xiaofu's figure rushed out. He wanted to catch up, but he was a step too late. Suddenly, he was puzzled. Just now, another expert had come, and his aura was also familiar. Who is it? Du Xiaofu was secretly puzzled. He could not remember at the moment, but he felt that the 2 auras were familiar. Do you know those 2? Huang Ling stepped forward and asked Du Xiaofu. She was also secretly shocked that there were such experts hiding. It feels like déjà vu, yes? Du Xiaofu shook his head. He could not remember at the moment, so he did not think too much about it. Huang Ling looked at Du Xiaofu with her beautiful eyes and did not ask anymore. She said softly, "Thank you for saving my life this time." "Thank you. No need to thank me. If you really feel bad, you can also repay me with your body." Du Xiaofu teased, looking at Huang Ling in front of him. The women of the Phoenix clan were really more attractive than the previous one, especially Huang Ling, who was even more attractive. Who knew how many people in this world had their eyes on her? You dare? Sister Zixuan, Sister Shuang, Su Muxin, Dongli Qingqing, they are not to be trifled with. Huang Ling smiled and looked at Du Xiaofu. I really don't dare. Du Xiaofu smiled embarrassedly. Thinking of Ouyang Shuang, Dongli Qingqing, Su Muxin, and the others, he was really afraid. As for Zixuan, it seemed that their relationship was a bit vague. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Huang Ling was secretly disappointed. A light flashed from her eyes without leaving a trace, and then disappeared. Chapter 2449. I didn't expect you to be a member of the Phoenix clan. However, your bloodline seems to be a little faint. As the faint voice fell, a cold aura rippled. Then, a graceful figure appeared. Her figure was curvaceous and exquisite, and her body gave off a faint cold aura. It was Hunji. When Hunji appeared, Huang was instinctively on guard. She looked at Hunji, and her eyes changed greatly. That was because the mysterious woman's aura caused her heart to tremble just by looking at her. She was like a witch from the underworld. If you had attacked just now, those two fellows wouldn't have been able to escape. Du Xiaofu looked at Hunji. If Hunji had attacked just now, those two mysterious people definitely wouldn't have been able to escape. I have no obligation to help you. Those two fellows don't seem to be simple. There's something strange about them. Hunji looked at Du Xiaofu, and there seemed to be some fluctuations in her eyes. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Huang was slightly surprised. This mysterious woman gave her an extremely dangerous feeling. She seemed to already know Du Xiaofu. All right. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything more. Hunji indeed had no obligation to help. Brat, you're a human. Could it be that you're interested in a woman from the Phoenix clan? Hunji walked to Du Xiaofu's side. Her breasts were about to come out, and she was practically rubbing against Du Xiaofu's arm. She looked at Huang and her gaze was fixed on her. It was extremely provocative. Huang looked at Hunji. She couldn't guess Hunji's identity, especially the aura on Hunji's body. It made her feel uneasy for no reason. Hearing Hunji's words, her expression changed again. I don't think this has anything to do with you. Du Xiaofu glanced at Hunji. Zixian was also a phoenix. Seeing that Hunji and Du Xiaofu seemed to have a good relationship, Huang became even more curious. She looked at Du Xiaofu and Hunji curiously, trying to guess their identities. You're quite brave. Soul Concubine smiled and looked at Du Xiaofu. Can we continue our journey now? You need time to heal, right? Du Xiaofu looked at Huang He could feel that Huang injuries were not light. It's all right. I can still walk. Huang shook her head. The Phoenix clan had a secret technique that could heal injuries. Then let's go together. Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment before speaking. With Huang current situation, it was absolutely impossible for her to stay in the depths of the Heaven Burial Deathland alone. It was truly too dangerous. With his relationship with the Phoenix clan, not to mention the relationship between little Xingxing and Zixian, he couldn't sit idly by. Thank you very much. Huang didn't refuse. She knew that with her current injuries, it was definitely much safer to stay with Du Xiaofu. I'll bring my friends. Is that okay? Du Xiaofu asked Hunji. It's fine, Hunji said. Apart from the gloomy aura on her body, her formless temperament seemed to carry a hint of teasing. Qi-la, in the gloomy abyss, the surrounding space was dark. Two strange figures appeared. Their auras fluctuated, and soon, they became corporeal. When they appeared, their faces were covered by robes and hats. When one looked up slightly, it was enough to see their true appearance. If Du Xiaofu were here, he would definitely be astonished. These two people were actually Dongli Qihuang, who had died a long time ago, and Shun Yin, who had disappeared. Buffed. Dongli Qihuang's face turned ghastly pale. He spat out a mouthful of black blood, and his expression was gloomy and unsightly. I didn't expect Du Xiaofu's strength to improve so quickly. You still can't do anything to him. Shun Yin looked at Dongli Qihuang and said, just a little bit more. Give me a little more time. When the time comes, I will finish him off with my own hands. Dongli Qihuang's eyes surged with a cold glint. He didn't expect that after enduring and hiding for so long, he was still a little bit weaker. Du Xiaofu's strength had improved too much. There will be a chance. Soon, there will be a chance. When we reappear in this world, everything will be different. Shun Yin said coldly with a sneer. They had been enduring in secret for so many years. Who would have thought that Shun Yin would reach such a level today? Swish, 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 swish. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. Amidst the resplendent, shattered ruins, starlight rippled. With a muffled rumble, a large number of mountains collapsed. Then, several figures appeared in the distance. A vast aura permeated the air. Several familiar figures appeared. Among them were Qi Xingchen, Qi Jiajun, Zhou Wanan, and Moon Saint. The other old man was the expert who had emerged from the eternal tomb and had recently entered the ancient wilderness ominous grounds. Be careful. The depths of the burial wasteland are too dangerous, the old man said to Moon Saint, Chi Xingchen, and Chi Jiejun. His eyes narrowed. In the depths of the burial wasteland, there were many places that even he didn't dare to be careless. Senior Saint, does this place really hold the greatest secret buried in the world? If so, what is it that's buried here? Chi Jiejun asked. What exactly was buried in this extremely dangerous place? How could it be so terrifying? The Dragon Phoenix tribulation caused great chaos in the world. This place is the final battlefield of the Dragon Phoenix tribulation. Too many things are buried here. However, no one knows the greatest secret. It's only a rumor that if the greatest secret is revealed, the world will change again. The Yin-Yang Senior Saint looked forward with a deep and penetrating gaze. He said softly, the most important thing is that this world is far beyond your imagination. Many things have been severed from the beginning. Only by uncovering the greatest secret buried in this world can everything be completely unraveled. Senior Saint, the elders of the family once said that as long as you emerge from the eternal tomb, even if the world were to undergo another great tribulation and the demon god was freed, the 9 great clans would still be able to stay out of it. Is that right? Chi Jiejun hesitated for a moment and asked. This was the reason why his family had gone all out to enter the eternal tomb. The Yin-Yang Senior Saint hesitated for a moment and sighed. He turned to Chi Jiejun and said, perhaps it could have been, but things are different now. Not only is the heaven burial wasteland burying the greatest secret in the world, it's also the world's last chance. If we can uncover everything, perhaps there's still a chance. Otherwise, no one in this world, including the 9 great clans, the dragons, and the phoenixes, will be able to escape. Whoosh whoosh, 3 figures shuttled through the vast mountain range. They were Du Xiaofu, Huang Linger, and Hunji. With Hunji around, they avoided many dangerous places along the way. During their occasional conversations, Du Xiaofu learned from Hunji that the depths of the heaven burial wasteland were much more dangerous than the outside. There were many places with ancient remnant formations that were full of danger. Along the way, Huang Ling just followed silently. Occasionally, she would stuff a lot of pills and elixirs into her mouth. There was a faint blazing aura fluctuation on her body. Her complexion also strangely recovered some rosy color. Chapter 2450. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. Moments later, a vast mountain range appeared in front of the 3 of them. Du Xiaofu cautiously stopped himself. Looking at the mountain range in front of him, Du Xiaofu could faintly sense a dangerous aura with his sharp primordial spirit power. The vast mountain range in front of them was very abnormal. There was a thick fog covering the sky, blocking their vision and even preventing their minds from prying. Under these circumstances, Du Xiaofu had no choice but to be cautious. Hunji stood in front of Sui and stared at the vast mountain range shrouded in mist. Her eyes were also solemn as she said, "It's very dangerous up ahead, but only by passing through this mountain range can we reach the place where the greatest secret of this world is buried. However, this place of danger is not ordinary. Even I am not confident in passing through it. You decide whether or not to enter."
Yes.
You've never been here before? Du Xiaofu asked Hunji. I've been here with Gu Ji a few times, but I've always retreated in the end. It's too dangerous. Hunji said. It's so dangerous, yet you're still willing to go in with me? Du Xiaofu stared at Hunji. He could not help but be on guard. Human, I know you don't trust me, but I'll tell you this. If I bring you there, I want to go too. With you, perhaps we'll be a bit safer. That's all. If you don't believe me, you can choose not to go. Hunji seemed to have seen through Du Xiaofu's thoughts. As soon as she finished speaking, she led the way into the mountain range. Du Xiaofu's eyes moved. After thinking for a while, he gritted his teeth and nodded at Huang Linger. There was no way out now anyway. He could only follow. Whoosh whoosh. The 3 of them had just entered the strange mountain range when the strange fog covered the sky. There was a strange energy blocking them. The 3 of them could not fly at high altitudes. They could only travel on the ground with the help of Xian Qi. Compared to flying at high altitudes, this speed was much slower. However, there was nothing they could do. The strange mountain range was dark everywhere. There was no sign of life. Du Xiaofu and Huang Ling were very careful, and Hunji didn't dare to be an exception. Judging from her expression, it seemed like there really was something here that made her feel afraid. Careful. After a short moment, Du Xiaofu's expression suddenly changed, and the profound energy in his body surged out, as if he'd sensed something. Rumble, rumble. Rumble as Xian Chua Chua's Hunji Xianji, Huang Ling's Hunji, and Hunji. Chua Xianji was. Chua Xianji. Chua Xianji, Hunji Ji, and Hunji. Du Xiaofu, Hunji Chua, Ji there of Chua Chua. Of Chua Chua Chua, Nachin Chua Chua these Chua Chua Chua, Ice Chua Chua was Chua. Chua 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 Chua. Chua 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 was Ice Chua was of Chua Chua Chit Ice Chua Chua. Chilala. Huang Linger made her move. 5 colored flames swept out, and blazing heat erupted. However, it did not seem to have much effect on the icy light pillar. Although the fire of the Phoenix clan is not ordinary, the danger inside is definitely not ordinary, said Hunji. Her body was surrounded by a cold, murderous aura that blocked the numerous icy light pillars. Rumble. Du Xiaofu made his move. The Fuyao heaven shaking wings swept out. Golden light shone brightly, shattering the space and colliding with the ice pillar. Under the loud sound of the explosion, the icicles were shattered and scattered in the air like ice shards. However, after these icicles were shattered, they would reform under the strange fluctuation of runes. They were unable to completely disappear. Because Huang Linger was the weakest, and because she was heavily injured, she was forced to retreat. Bang! Du Xiaofu brandished his fist to shatter the cold ice light beam in front of him, protecting Huang Linger a little. His eyes slightly focused, he said, I think we have broken into a great formation, and not just any ordinary great formation. Looks like we're in big trouble. Huang Linger smiled bitterly. Hunji's figure danced in the air. Within the billowing murderous aura, a vast power surged, shattering the icy light pillars in the surrounding space. However, her expression was not good. She said gloomily, quickly think of a way to leave this place. If this continues, it will be troublesome. Bang! 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 Du Xiaofu brandished his fist again to shatter 2 more icy light pillars. His body also staggered back a little. The dense icicles exploded. The icy aura was very terrifying, but it was impossible to completely destroy them. Come closer to me. Bang! Slightly gritting his teeth, Du Xiaofu said to Hunji. Silver gold lightning arcs appeared between his brows. Then, he activated the Scarlet Horse Monkey's body. Roar! Bang! The Scarlet Horse Monkey's body rushed out. Immediately, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Go! Bang! The Scarlet Horse Monkey's body carried Hunji and Huang Linger. The 3 figures instantly disappeared. When the 3 figures reappeared, they were already in a dusky canyon. However, the terrifying icy light pillars in the surroundings had already disappeared. The Scarlet Horse Monkey's body retracted back into his forehead. Du Xiaofu let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the Scarlet Horse Monkey's soul was still useful. This, on the other hand, Huang Linger and Hunji were still somewhat in disbelief. They were secretly stunned. They did not expect Du Xiaofu to be able to escape so easily. Then, Huang Linger smiled bitterly. She was already used to this. Now, she finally understood why the Demon King could reach this level in such a short time. The methods he had were simply endless. Continue. This is only the entrance. The dangers ahead may be even stronger. We still have to be careful. Hunji said softly. Are there even more dangers ahead? Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. Just now is already frightening enough. If this was only the appetizer, then who knew how frightening it would be next? This entire mountain range is filled with dangers. There are many more dangers than before. Moreover, they are difficult to understand. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to wait until now to find the world's greatest secret. Hunji rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu. Let's go. We just have to be careful. Go. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. Since they could not turn back, they could only brace themselves and continue. Whoosh whoosh. The three of them continued to travel through the mountain range, becoming even more cautious. However, even though the three of them were even more cautious, they still could not avoid danger. In less than 2 hours, the three of them were trapped in a sealed space. Everything around them had disappeared. They were now in a dusky space that faintly gave off a blazing aura. We're trapped. Go. Hunji's gaze swept across the area. Her expression was grave as she vigilantly sized up the surroundings. No, what a familiar aura. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's expression suddenly changed. He looked to the front and saw a huge mountain peak appear in the distance of the dusky space. Chapter 2451. Whoosh. At the same time, Huangling, and Hunji's gazes trembled slightly. The moment they entered this space, an enormous and formless pressure instantly enveloped the two of them. Under that terrifying pressure, it was as if it could instantly crush a person. The pressure was incomparably domineering and extremely sharp. It was simply unbearable for an ordinary person. Huangling immediately circulated her profound qi, using the aura of the Phoenix clan on her body. Profound qi swept out from her body, and only then did she feel that the pressure immediately disappear. What a frightening pressure! Huangling was shocked. Such a frightening pressure was extraordinary. Under such a domineering and frightening pressure, she almost couldn't withstand it. Hunji's expression also changed. At this moment, she also used her own methods to resist the pressure in the surroundings. What a familiar aura! Du Xiaofu's gaze was fixed in front of him. The mountain peak was covered in golden light. Upon closer inspection, he realized that it wasn't a mountain peak, but a gigantic crawling monster beast. The faintly discernible pressure of the supreme beast clan pervaded the air, causing one's heart to tremble. The great golden-winged rock clan. In an instant, Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled. No wonder the aura was so familiar. It was actually the body of a gigantic great golden-winged rock clan expert. Du Xiaofu's figure swept out, carefully and quickly arriving before the gigantic skeleton of the great golden-winged rock clan expert. An immemorial expert of the great golden-winged rock clan. But he has fallen. His body is indestructible. Huangling's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. This great golden-winged rock clan expert had already fallen, but this indestructible body still carried a frightening aura, causing her to feel fear. Du Xiaofu's heart sank as he felt an unbearable feeling of being connected by blood. He carefully examined the body of this ancient expert from the golden-winged great rock race. The primordial expert of the golden-winged great rocks must have fallen a long time ago. However, even though his body was not destroyed, he still could not be preserved well. Originally, when one reached the level of a saint expert, it was extremely difficult to deliberately destroy his corpse. Moreover, this primordial expert of the golden-winged great rocks was obviously not ordinary. The body of the immemorial golden-winged great rocks was naturally a great treasure. However, these were the remains of the golden-winged great rocks. Du Xiaofu did not intend to touch them. He only felt deep sorrow and reverence. We've been trapped. This space is very strange. Not far away, Hunji was inspecting their surroundings. As she waved her hand, a vast, cold, evil aura surged and covered the sky. It directly tore open a crack in the space, but it was still unable to tear open this strange space. Her expression suddenly became very serious. This is the doing of the golden-winged great rocks. It is said that the golden-winged great rocks have supernatural powers related to space. This golden-winged great rocks probably set up this space restriction in order to protect their remains before they died. We accidentally entered, but it will be difficult to get out. Hunji's gaze was serious as she continued to speak. The golden-winged great rocks have supernatural powers of space. Du Xiaofu's eyes moved slightly. He did not seem to know, nor had he heard anyone mention it. Boom. Then, Du Xiaofu took a step forward. Lightning flashed between his eyebrows as he activated the redbone horse monkey's primordial spirit. Golden light flashed around his body. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The redbone horse monkey appeared amidst the pressure of thunder and lightning. Roar! The redbone horse monkey appeared, and wanted to tear open the void to leave. However, when its aura erupted, the surrounding space trembled and it was unable to leave. Du Xiaofu also became serious. The redbone horse monkey's innate talent had also lost its effect. I have also heard that the golden-winged great rocks are similar to us phoenixes in that they have the innate talent of space. However, the golden-winged great rock's innate talent of space is even more secretive. This fallen golden-winged great rocks had monstrous strength when they were alive, so the restriction they set up contains the innate talent of space. It is not that easy to forcefully break it open. Wang Ling looked at Du Xiaofu, her seven-colored eyes fluctuating. She said, "You are a golden-winged great rocks. Perhaps you have a way. Otherwise, we might be trapped here forever." Du Xiaofu was stunned. Then, he smiled bitterly. Although he was a golden-winged great rocks, he was not. If we can't leave, we might be trapped here far away. You are related to the golden-winged great rocks. Quickly think of a way. Hunji looked at Du Xiaofu. She was also surprised. He was clearly a human, but for some reason, he was like a real rock. There was not much difference between him and the golden-winged great rocks. What can I do? Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. Then, he lowered his eyes slightly as if he was thinking about something. Then, Du Xiaofu seemed to have thought of something. He walked towards the golden-winged great rock's body. At the same time, mysterious golden talisman runes spread out from Du Xiaofu's body. The golden light became more and more dazzling. The talisman runes flashed and emitted a blazing light. Finally, when Du Xiaofu arrived in front of the ancient golden-winged great rock's body, the mysterious golden talisman runes around him rippled. Golden light spread out for tens of thousands of feet. An enormous golden-winged great rock's shadow flapped its wings and soared into the sky. Screech! The golden-winged great rock screeched. The sound pierced through the clouds, and the golden light was dazzling. Flap, flap! The golden-winged great rocks spread their wings, blocking out the sun. Golden light shone all over their body. As they flapped their wings, the airflow in the air swept out like a storm. It was as if the surrounding space was about to collapse. Du Xiaofu activated the beast energy of the golden-winged great rocks. He used the aura of the rock blood on his body. With himself as the center, the golden-winged great rock's shadow was surrounded by mysterious talisman runes that blotted out the sky. Its ferocious might covered this part of space. It was terrifying to look at from afar. How terrifying! Is he really human? When they saw this scene, both Huangling, and Hunji were in disbelief. This aura was completely that of a real golden-winged great rocks. It did not seem like a human at all. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled. He abruptly raised his head and stared at the eyes of the golden-winged great rocks. For some reason, all the blood in his body began to boil. He felt as if some kind of aura was awakening in his body. The aura grew thicker and thicker. In the next instant, the eyes of the golden-winged rock that had been tightly shut suddenly opened. The huge eyes were filled with golden light, like the sun, and looked down directly on Du Xiaofu. A vast and mighty pressure, with an incomparably domineering aura, descended on Du Xiaofu. Boom! Suddenly, as if the golden-winged great rock's aura on Du Xiaofu's body had triggered something, a dazzling golden light shot into the sky from the golden-winged great rock's body. In an instant, the huge body shone with golden light. The golden light flowed like a golden torrent as it spread out. It carried a domineering and sharp aura as it filled the void. The golden light became more and more dazzling. The mysterious runes on the talisman flickered and emitted a blazing light. Then, a huge golden-winged great rocks condensed in the void. Screech! The screech of the golden-winged great rocks pierced through the clouds. Its entire body shone with golden light as its ferocious aura spread out. It was frightening and caused the void to tremble. What a powerful aura! Wang Ling was shocked. At that moment, all the blood in her body began to boil for no reason. She faintly felt as if she wanted to crawl. Hunji's expression changed drastically as well. She was very shocked. This aura was far too powerful. Chapter 2452. The pressure that emanated from the enormous golden-winged great rock silhouette that had condensed on the body of the expert from the ancient golden-winged great rock clan made Du Xiaofu want to prostrate himself on the ground and tremble. The terrifying pressure was too powerful. Du Xiaofu cultivated the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock clan, so he was not much different from a real golden-winged rock. He could sense just how terrifying the pressure was. It's an undying beast soul. Hunji could not help but exclaim. The enormous phantom of the golden-winged rock was a beast soul left behind by the immemorial golden-winged rock clan expert. It was not a remnant soul, but a true beast soul. It had not been destroyed after so many years. Although it was not as powerful as before, it was still terrifying. It had been left behind by the expert of the immemorial golden-winged rock clan. Huang Linger's eyes trembled when she heard Hunji's exclamation. She naturally knew what an undying beast soul represented. It was an undying will that had been left behind by an expert of the immemorial golden-winged rock clan. The enormous phantom of the golden-winged rock in the sky shone with golden light like the sun. Its thunderous gaze looked down on Du Xiaofu. It made Du Xiaofu feel as if he had been struck by lightning. In an instant, Du Xiaofu felt as if something was burning in his body and his blood was boiling. Boom, boom. At the same time, the enormous phantom of the golden-winged rock swooped down with a thunderous momentum. In the end, it overlapped with the phantom of the golden-winged rock around Du Xiaofu. At the last moment, Du Xiaofu seemed to sense that the terrifying figure of the golden-winged rock had turned into two resplendent rays of golden lightning. Like golden lightning bolts, they directly landed in his eyes. At the same time, an enormous and domineering aura surged into the space between his brows. The power was too strong, causing Du Xiaofu to almost faint. It was as if a golden-winged rock had directly surged into his Niwen palace, after which it transformed into countless mysterious runes that spread out, causing his mind to become dizzy and confused, and his consciousness to become sluggish. Rumble. At the same time, the energy in the world around him surged. Du Xiaofu sensed an extremely domineering energy surging into his body. The energy was extremely domineering, and when it entered his body, it affected the circulation of the cultivation method of the golden-winged great rocks. In the end, it gathered towards the divine watchtower. This energy was too terrifying. It was incomparably violent and boundlessly vigorous. The enormous power in his mind caused Du Xiaofu to fall into a mysterious state. Ow! Ow! At this moment, Du Xiaofu seemed to have returned to the ancient times. The world was vast, and a huge dragon was roaring. It occupied the sky and stretched across the heavens. Gee! Ow! The flames of a phoenix surged like the sun in the sky, burning the world with its heat. Ow! Ow! There was also a huge exotic beast. It was majestic and dignified. Lightning flashed all over its body, and it was surrounded by a world of thunder and lightning, as if it could destroy everything. Oh woo! In the distance, densely packed phantoms of ferocious birds and exotic beasts covered the sky and the sun. They were ferocious and powerful, and any one of them was an ancient ferocious beast. A huge golden-winged rock soared into the sky, capable of shattering the stars. It traversed the world and then turned into golden runes that filled the sky. The resplendent golden runes that filled the sky were deducing and deriving. Then, they condensed into an incomparably huge phantom of a rock. The most complete golden-winged rock supreme beast ability. Also, is this the ancient times before the Dragon Phoenix tribulation? Ow! Du Xiaofu was shocked as he sensed this terrifying information. The body of this ancient golden-winged rock expert seemed to contain the most complete supreme beast ability of the golden-winged rock race. Many of its profound meanings and supreme beast abilities had been lost in the golden-winged rock race. This is a great opportunity, and it's hard to find. I'm afraid it will disappear soon. I must comprehend it. Ow! Du Xiaofu was pleasantly surprised. This was a great opportunity, and he couldn't miss it. He immediately immersed himself in comprehending it. Rumble. In the void, under the current commotion, Hunji and Huang Linger looked on in surprise. They saw that Du Xiaofu's aura had unknowingly started to grow. The phantom of the golden-winged rock around Du Xiaofu spread its wings. Golden light shone brightly, and the aura on his body rose like a rocket. The enormous energy in his body contained the aura of the golden-winged rock race. There was no need for Du Xiaofu to refine it. It could be directly used by him and become Du Xiaofu's own profound energy. Soon, Du Xiaofu's aura reached the peak of the late stage of the Saint Realm, and it continued to climb. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body was like a bottomless pit. After seeing the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock race, it assimilated the enormous and domineering energy. Then, it turned into his own surging profound energy and poured into his divine watchtower like a lake. With such energy pouring in, Du Xiaofu's aura became denser and denser, and his aura was still soaring. This guy can't break through like this, right? Hunji was shocked. Hunji was shocked. Even if her existence was special, there was no way she could directly break through like this. This is too scary. Huang Ling was tongue-tied. Du Xiaofu was at the peak of the late stage of the Saint Realm. If he broke through like this, who knew what the Saint Realm cultivators in the outside world would think? They would definitely feel unbalanced. At this moment, Hunji and Huang Ling naturally didn't know that the enormous phantom of the golden-winged rock contained the terrifying energy of the golden-winged rock race. It seemed to be left behind by the immortal beast soul of the primordial golden-winged rock race's expert. It was the purest primordial profound energy. Du Xiaofu was like a real golden-winged rock. He only needed to refine a little of this energy, and he could use it for his own use, turning it into his own profound energy. To Du Xiaofu, the infusion of such energy was undoubtedly equivalent to having an endless stream of pure, profound energy pouring into his body. In the profound state, Du Xiaofu was completely immersed in comprehending. This was the complete supreme beast energy of the primordial golden-winged rock race. It was too profound and couldn't be compared to what was preserved in the golden-winged rock race. Du Xiaofu was immersed in it. It was as if he had truly turned into a primordial golden-winged rock and returned to the primordial era to comprehend everything. He soared into the sky, crossed the heaven and earth, and flapped his wings to shatter the stars. It was unknown how much time had passed. It's over. I'm afraid this heaven-burial deathland has closed again. Hunji's expression was solemn, and her heart was heavy. Chapter 24:53. Huang Ling was also stunned. Her face was filled with disbelief. Even though the person in front of her had shocked the world too many times, seeing a supreme beast directly enter his body was more shocking than ever. It had to be known that this was an undying beast soul left behind from the ancient times. It contained the pure beast energy of the golden-winged Great Pong. If it were anyone else, without any refinement, their body would probably explode from the enormous energy in an instant. They watched quietly. Although the two of them were shocked, they did not disturb him. As time passed, Du Xiaofu's aura did not slow down. Instead, it grew more and more intense. Magnificent energy surged, and the golden-winged Great Pong that lingered around Du Xiaofu was about to solidify. Screech! As the golden light filled the air, the cry of a Pong pierced through gold and cracked stone. It seemed to pierce through the boundless river of time and space, coming from the ancient times to the present world. A vast pressure that shook the heavens descended, directly suppressing the origin spirit. It made Huang Ling, and Hunji's hearts tremble. They almost felt like they could not resist it. Runes flashed in the sky as surging energy poured into Du Xiaofu's body. It merged with his bloodline and became a part of him. His profound qi surged wildly for his own use. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's mind was also immersed in a profound state. It was as if he was in the ancient times. Dragons and tigers roared, and among them, the golden-winged Great Pong clans spread their wings and soared into the clouds. They soared through the 9 heavens and traveled thousands of miles in an instant. In one instant, they flapped their wings, and in the next, they were above the clouds. This speed was unimaginably fast. It was shocking. Among the myriad of races, no one could compare to them. Is this the mysteries of space? Du Xiaofu pondered. He finally understood why Hunji and Huang Ling had said that the golden-winged Great Peng clan had spatial abilities. At this moment, he finally understood. Moreover, Du Xiaofu finally understood that the main use of the golden-winged Great Rock's spatial magic should be in terms of speed. This also happened to explain why the golden-winged Great Rocks were known for their speed, and no other race could be compared to them. Comprehend. Du Xiaofu did not know how long the immortal beast soul left behind by the golden-winged giant rocks could support his comprehension. This kind of opportunity was hard to come by. He had to try his best to comprehend it. There was no room for error. Du Xiaofu focused on comprehending. Endless waves of energy were transmitted, branded into his soul, allowing him to comprehend the mysteries of space of the golden-winged great rocks on a deeper level. The symbols kept moving, showing Du Xiaofu this profound and complicated Upanishad. In the illusory world, Du Xiaofu seemed to have transformed into a true golden-winged great rock. His wings seemed to cover the sky as he soared through the horizon. With a gentle flap of his wings, space changed, as if he had directly pierced through the barrier of space and appeared in another place. This feeling was similar to tearing through space, but it was also different. To many experts, tearing through space was a simple matter. Even though it could shorten the distance and greatly reduce the time needed to travel, like opening up a shortcut, it was still a path after all. It would inevitably take time. However, the mysteries of space of the golden-winged great rocks were different. As they flapped their wings, there would be mysterious talisman inscriptions rippling out. Space was not affected at all, nor was it torn apart. However, the strange thing was that under the mysterious ripples of their wings, they could instantly reach another location without passing through anything. Du Xiaofu's Saint Force was vast and mighty. Dense symbols revolved around him like a river of stars. The figure of the golden-winged great rock behind him became more and more solid, radiating with a monstrous aura. Boom! All of a sudden, the aura on Du Xiaofu's body suddenly rose to the extreme. The entire space began to tremble. Under the impact of the vast energy, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. Profound qi surged and everything was swept away. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Even with Hunji and Huangling, Earth's cultivation, they were both forced back several meters. It was difficult for them to resist this tyrannical impact. Their faces were filled with shock, and they had no choice but to use their cultivation to resist. Is he going to break through? Huangling, Er's red lips moved slightly as she muttered to herself. A strange light flashed in her beautiful eyes. The person in front of her had already shocked everyone countless times. At the same time, it made her feel a little numb. This guy. Hunji opened her mouth. Her face was also filled with disbelief. Is he a human or a golden-winged great rock? How can he be so strong? Hunji seemed to feel a little deceived. Previously, when she was fighting with Gu Qi, she was only able to escape with the help of this guy's Silvernet soul-devouring thunder. She even managed to kill Gu Qi and gain a lot of benefits. However, everything that she saw now had overturned her impression of him. How could this be the performance of a little guy? While the two were talking, the golden-winged great rock around Du Xiaofu suddenly expanded and turned into an unusually majestic rock. Golden light filled the air and filled the entire space, dyeing it golden. Four majestic golden-winged great rock were reflected in Hunji and Huangling Er's eyes. They flapped their wings and covered the sky. The river of stars rolled back and countless stars shattered and turned into dust. Buzz! Invisible waves swept out from Du Xiaofu's body. Golden light shone brightly. Golden talisman patterns covered the void and intertwined with each other. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's aura also reached its peak. It was as if he had broken through some kind of shackle. He instantly broke through the threshold of the late stage of the Sage Realm and reached the complete Sage Realm. Then, the golden light that filled the entire space retracted. All the energy quickly disappeared and returned to Du Xiaofu's body. It entered the spirit gate and turned into profound qi. Huff! Du Xiaofu exhaled a long breath of turbid air. When he suddenly opened his eyes, two beams of golden light shot out like golden lightning. It seemed as if they were going to break through the void. Is this the strength of the complete Sage Realm? It feels pretty good. The golden light receded and the great rock around him also disappeared. He felt that his body was filled with incomparable power. Whether it was his physical body or the primordial spirit in his mind, they were much, much stronger than before. With a faint smile on his face, Du Xiaofu was secretly overjoyed. This opportunity was really wonderful. The most urgent thing now was to increase his strength. If he didn't have enough strength, even the legalism, the famous people, the dragons, the devil race, and the old guys from the eternal tomb would not be able to contend with him. Not to mention that the outside world was facing the great calamity brought about by the devil religion and those terrifying devil emperors and devil gods. Now, he had finally reached the complete sage realm. He had some real capital. Space profound. Recalling the scene when he had just comprehended it, Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. Huge waves surged in his heart again and could not be calmed down for a long time. Within that world that was illusory and seemingly real, the scenes Du Xiaofu saw were too shocking. He'd never dared imagine that the space profundity could actually be so formidable, and it wasn't an exaggeration to describe the increase in his speed as appearing and disappearing unpredictably. Unfortunately, before Du Xiaofu could comprehend it more deeply, the immortal soul had exhausted all its energy and turned into Xin Qi and profound power that entered his body. He also knew that he had comprehended the space profound of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan from the immemorial beast soul of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan. At this moment, the essence of the space profound was branded on his primordial spirit. He could only slowly comprehend it in the future. Du Xiaofu gently closed his eyes. Xin Qi crazily circulated in his divine gate. The great rock wings appeared behind him. Golden lights surged and flashed with strange runes. At this moment, he could not help but want to try out that mysterious experience. Under Huangling, and Hunji's dumbfounded gazes, the golden wings behind Du Xiaofu trembled slightly. Then, he disappeared from where he stood. Before the two of them could react, the young man's figure condensed 100 feet away. This process did not cause any spatial fluctuations. The only fluctuations were the fluctuations of the mysterious runes on the great rock wings. Other than that, there was no trace of it. Huang Linger was speechless. Her beautiful eyes were wide open and her red lips were agape. Is this the ultimate profound of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan? Hunji was very knowledgeable, but at this moment, she was also shocked to the extreme. After exchanging glances with Huang Linger, she looked at Du Xiaofu, who had fallen into deep thought after appearing. She could not help but curse. What a freak! Amazing! On the other side, Du Xiaofu was very excited. At the same time, he sighed. He could feel that if he used his full strength, it would be a piece of cake for him to cross a distance of 300 meters in an instant. When facing an enemy, this method could be used to close in on them in the blink of an eye when they were unprepared. The enemy would not be able to catch a trace of it and deliver a fatal blow when they least expected it. Just how powerful was it? At the same time, this ability to appear and disappear unpredictably would allow Du Xiaofu to use this move when facing an enemy before the enemy's attack could reach him. It would allow him to better protect himself. However, Du Xiaofu had not fully comprehended this profound yet. He was far from being able to fly thousands of kilometers in an instant like the golden-winged Great Rock Clan experts of the primordial era. I'm really looking forward to it. Du Xiaofu sighed inwardly. He looked forward to the day when he would be able to reproduce this ultimate technique of the primordial golden-winged Great Rock Clan. The Great Rock rises with the wind and soars 90,000 kilometers in the sky. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. This was not an exaggeration. Feeling the aura of the primordial era inheritance in his body, Du Xiaofu's eyes gradually lit up. Since that's the case, let's call this move Rising Wind from now on. Du Xiaofu, who was incomparably carefree, came back to his senses. He smiled brilliantly at the two beautiful women who were staring at him. Have you seen enough? I have no interest in humans, but you are an exception. Chapter 2454. I'm not interested in humans. Hunji's lips curled into a mesmerizing smile. But you're an exception. Hunji straightened her back and swayed her hips as she walked away. However, she couldn't help but find it hard to calm down. The shock this human had given her was simply too great. The gray, misty space around them had already disappeared without a sound. Without its restraints, the domineering pressure had also completely dissipated as the undying beast soul merged with Du Xiaofu's body. "Let's go, Rock Emperor." Huang Ling smiled at Du Xiaofu, her beautiful face unfolding. Her gaze was a little evasive, as if the previous scene had tugged at her heartstrings even more powerfully. Ancestors' remains have been melted and buried. Du Xiaofu didn't waste any time. He simply turned around and bowed to the void from afar as a form of greeting to his ancestor. Although the faint pain from the depths of his bloodline still existed, Du Xiaofu wasn't overly sad. Since he had obtained the ancestor's inheritance, then he had the responsibility to restore the glory of the Golden Rock clan. What is the greatest secret in this world? Du Xiaofu was a little impatient. He had a faint premonition that the secret buried there had to be related to the ancient demon gods and the dragon phoenix tribulation to a certain extent. After leaving this area, the three of them continued to travel through the void toward the depths of the heaven burial wasteland. Under Hunji's lead, Du Xiaofu and Huang Ling tore through the void and advanced forward. Along the way, they encountered many beings who had come in search of opportunities. However, most of them were cultivators at the domain realm. They didn't see any familiar figures. Under the acute perception of Du Xiaofu's soul core, he'd noticed a few extraordinary places and some corpses that were left behind. He bluntly took away all the cosmos pouches and treasures, and it didn't delay his journey by much. Boom. After traveling for more than 10 days, the three of them suddenly heard a huge boom. It was as if their bodies had collided with an invisible barrier, and they were stopped in their tracks. With the cultivation of these three people, they did not suffer much damage. They were only slightly shaken. When they appeared, they were in the air above a huge lake. "It's right ahead." Hunji did not seem surprised by this. She was not surprised that she had been squeezed out of space. Her eyes narrowed as she looked at the mountain range at the end of the lake. She said, "The space here is a bit special. I can't tear through space. This place is very strange," Du Xiaofu said in a deep voice. He could feel that this place was not normal. When he was expelled, apart from the dense killing intent, there was also an aura of death that attempted to invade his body. Not only was his soul affected, even his body felt like it was about to be corroded. "The surface of the lake is terrifyingly calm." Huang Ling's voice trembled. She looked at the surface of the lake beneath her feet. It was calm like a mirror, clearly reflecting the figures of the three people. There were no ripples at all. Under the perception of the power of the origin spirit, she could not sense the existence of any living beings under the water. That corrosive aura continuously attacked her primordial spirit and phoenix body. Only when a layer of true phoenix flames covered her delicate body did she manage to resist it. Du Xiaofu flicked his finger, and a powerful gust of wind surged out. It struck the surface of the lake, but strangely, it did not create any ripples at all. Is that the deepest part of the heaven burial deathlands? Let's go take a look. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. He could see a large group of figures heading towards the mountain range up ahead. It did not seem very far, but only when they began to travel did they discover just how vast the lake was. The three of them flew for over half a day before they could vaguely make out the true appearance of the mountain range. In the distance, there was a mountain range that seemed to be undulating, but at this moment, there was a mansion that towered into the clouds in front of him, standing in rows upon rows. The closer they got, the more indescribable Du Xiaofu felt. The thunder martial vein also had a natural reaction, as if something was calling out to him. Du Xiaofu had wasted a lot of time comprehending the ancient beast soul left behind by the primordial golden-winged rock. When the three of them stepped into the mountain range, there were already many figures here. Father, brother, Xiaofu. Following the arrival of Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, Little Xingxing, Brother Qingchun, Dongli Qingqing, Huarlei Zi, Little Tiger, Du Xiaohuang, Du Xiaoba, Dai Xingyu, Qing Luan, and other familiar figures continuously rushed to his side. Father, sister. Du Xiaofu smiled and greeted them. Even Imo Tianxiao, Yelu Han, Dugu Finchen, Yi Piaoling, Qinggu Yu, and Dongfang Qingmu had arrived. Young clan head. The golden-winged rock clans Lu Jiajueyu, Lu Jiajuekong, and Lu Jiakaling also came to greet each other. Grandfather, grandmother. Du Xiaofu also greeted Lu Jiabatian and old Madame Lu Jiamaoyuo. He was also happy to see his close relatives here. Many people's auras had clearly improved. Greetings, Grand Shaman. The experts of the Confucian school also came to greet him. Rock Emperor. The Phoenix clan, Taoist clan, School of Agriculture, School of Yinyang, and Black clan all greeted him. When they saw the old enemies of legalism, School of Philosophers, School of Vertical and Horizontal, Dragons, and Devil religion, the air seemed to freeze. Both sides glared at each other with killing intent surging. Du Xiaofu would not be polite to these mortal enemies. Father, aren't you afraid of mother? How come there are beauties following you wherever you go? Suddenly, Du Xiaohuang said in a crisp voice. Looking at the two peerless beauties behind Du Xiaofu, everyone present silently agreed in their hearts. Huang Linger could be considered an acquaintance, so there was no need to say anything. But where did the other hot and enchanting woman come from? Hunji didn't show the slightest shyness when she heard this. Instead, a charming smile appeared on her face. She took a few steps forward and moved closer to Du Xiaofu's side. Her perky chest began to rub against his arm. Impudent. Du Xiaofu awkwardly dodged and pretended to be angry as he lightly knocked Du Xiaohuang's head. Humph. Du Xiaohuang raised her head in dissatisfaction. Her big black eyes stared at Du Xiaofu and threatened, "Be careful, or I'll tell Mother Shuang to deal with you." Du Xiaohuang's words reminded Du Xiaofu. While he was happy in his heart, he looked around and his eyebrows gradually furrowed. So many acquaintances were here, including legalism, School of Philosophers, School of Vertical and Horizontal, Dragons, and Devil religion. Only O Yangshuang and Du Xiaoyao were nowhere to be seen. This made Du Xiaofu worried. Previously, a series of unforeseen events had happened in the blood mist space. O Yangshuang was enveloped by a bright light and then mysteriously disappeared. There was no trace of her until now. There was also Du Xiaoyao, that daring troublemaker. Relying on the uniqueness of the red-bone horse monkey, she might have entered any place with treasures and gotten into an accident. Chapter 2455. This mountain range was barren and filled with a deathly aura. There were no signs of life, and space was suppressed. Not far away, the mountain peaks were like sharp divine swords, piercing through the clouds as if they were holding up the entire sky. The barren mountain peaks were rugged with strange rocks. Countless towering trees were rooted on them, as if they had been standing on the cliff since ancient times. But now, all of them had withered, and there was no sign of green. Du Xiaofu asked his acquaintances, but everyone shook their heads, saying that they had never seen Ouyang Shuang before. All of this made Du Xiaofu very worried. He hoped that nothing had happened to that tomboy. Is this the deepest part of the burial deadland? Where is the world's greatest secret? There doesn't seem to be anything special here. The experts present were all puzzled. Someone whispered. All of them came here to find opportunities. If they could uncover the world's greatest secret, they would be able to obtain unimaginable benefits. But the strange thing was, other than being suppressed to a certain extent, they didn't feel anything special about this place. As for those mountain peaks, other than being dead silent, there wasn't anything special about them. Are we just going to wait here? No one knew how to open this place. Other than waiting, there was no other way. Arriving here, everyone felt a formless pressure. It was as if they were in the space of a god. The majesty of the bloodline level crushed down, causing them to feel a sense of helplessness. Didn't you say that only you knew? Why is everyone here? After looking around, Du Xiaofu transmitted his voice to Hunji. He thought that only Hunji knew about this place. He didn't expect everyone to be here now. How would I know? Maybe something has happened. Hunji was also puzzled. This place wasn't like this. It was extremely dangerous, and no one could get close. But now, so many experts had appeared. She was also puzzled. It's strange. It seems to be related to my Du family's thunder martial vein. Du Tingxian frowned slightly and said softly, He felt that this place was very unusual. The thunder martial vein seemed to have sensed something and was a little out of control. I have the same feeling, Du Xiaojing said. Du Xiaojing also said. Even Du Xiaoba had the same feeling. Except for Du Tingxian, Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaojing, and Du Xiaoba, the rest did not have such a situation. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes turned deep as he stared at the surrounding mountains. This place is definitely not as simple as it looks on the surface. I can feel a kind of summoning. Could it be that this place is really related to my Du family? The Thunder Martial vein had an extraordinary origin. At first, the devil religion tried to find people with the Thunder Martial vein because of its uniqueness. Later on, Master Hua Lei also said that the Du family's ancestor had an extraordinary background and identity. However, Master Hua Lei had always been secretive about it and never explained it clearly. But now, the members of the Du clan had a different feeling. Could it be that the secret hidden in the depths of the sky burial wasteland was related to the ancestors of the Du clan? Du Xiaofu, let's see where you can run to today. Just as Du Xiaofu was thinking, a vicious and gloomy voice sounded. Its aura was vast and filled the 9 heavens. It resounded through the sky, causing the eardrums of all the living beings present to go blank. Raising his eyebrows, Du Xiaofu's lips curled into a bloodthirsty smile. The person who came was dressed in a green robe. He looked to be in his 70s and had a thin figure. On his old face, a pair of elite and deep eyes were revealed. The green-robed figure cut through the sky and rushed over. He stood quietly in the void and faced Du Xiaofu. Even though this area was suppressed and could not tear through space, there was still a monstrous aura bursting out from his body. The revolving space shot out light in all directions, boiling like the sun. Heavens, that's the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan's Patriarch Dragon Desolation. Some living beings exclaimed. Whoosh! Just as the Patriarch Dragon Desolation arrived, countless figures flew over from all directions. Rock Emperor. These people were from the Bai Fong clan, the Dark Heavenly Tiger clan, and other Beast Alliance experts. There were also the 8 great clans of the human clan. Most of them were old faces. Among them, there were friends and enemies. 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan. Hee hee, it seems like I haven't eaten dragon meat for a long time. Du Xiaofu's lips curled up as he stared at the Patriarch Dragon Desolation indifferently. Anyway, he had already formed a relationship with the 8 Desolation Demon Dragon Clan. Not long ago, he had even killed the blood-malevolent Patriarch in front of the Patriarch Dragon Desolation, causing him to lose face. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoqing, Dai Xingyu, and the others' eyes lit up as they looked at the Patriarch Dragon Desolation, who was emitting an unparalleled aura. All of them opened their mouths and looked like they were about to drool. In their eyes, it was as if they were not facing an ancient beast, but a pile of fragrant roasted meat. I've never eaten the meat of this 8 Desolation Demon Dragon before. I wonder how it tastes? Du Tingxian smiled, but calmly took out a jar of wine from his Qinkuan bag. It should be better roasted. Steamed or stewed, it shouldn't be bad either. Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba swallowed their saliva and said one after another, This family is too arrogant. They are too arrogant. They actually want to roast and eat the Patriarch Dragon Desolation? Many living beings muttered to themselves, Don't you know? Not long ago, that Demon King ate quite a few experts from the Beast Alliance. Savage. Is there anything more savage than this? Sure. Don't let that Demon King hear us. Discussions broke out everywhere. Do you want to die? The Patriarch Dragon Desolation was unable to restrain his anger. He shouted loudly as a cold light shot out from his deep eyes. An invisible aura instantly spread out from his body, spreading throughout the world like waves. For a moment, countless living beings felt their souls being suppressed. Their primordial spirits trembled and their faces turned pale. Too terrifying. The experts from the Beast Clan were even more alarmed. The trembling from the depths of their beast souls caused them to tremble and want to prostrate themselves in worship. Under such pressure, the people who could not resist retreated in shock. Rumble. Monstrous profound chi was released, and the wind and clouds surged between heaven and earth, sweeping in all directions. Even the area that was being suppressed began to tremble slightly. Ao ao! Cries of alarm rang out incessantly. Amidst the roars of countless beasts, their huge bodies appeared. They were like mountains that spanned across the mountain range, rolling and howling as rumbling sounds rang out incessantly. Such an astonishing commotion shook the heavens. Including the humans, some of the weaker ones fell to the ground while clutching their heads and screaming miserably. The cultivation of a great perfection holy beast was so tyrannical. The patriarch dragon Desolation was truly furious. That human brat had spoken such arrogant words. How could he not be angry? Chapter 2456. Brat, you won't be able to escape today. As the dragon Desolate Ancestor shouted, he had already pounced towards Du Xiaofu. He punched out with a resplendent fist, and the suppressed space began to tremble. Old thing, I'm not afraid of you. Heavenly horse violent palm. Du Xiaofu bellowed. The golden wings of the great rock spread out, and with a shake of his body, his palms released a dazzling divine light. Without dodging, without any fancy moves, he welcomed the attack of the dragon Desolate Ancestor. Previous chapter, next chapter, boom. The fist and palm collided, and a tyrannical energy fluctuation burst forth. The space was like the surface of a lake that had a huge rock thrown into it, and circles of spatial ripples spread out between the two of them, spreading out for thousands of miles. Too strong. Is this the strength of a stage perfection? This is too terrifying. The surrounding creatures were tongue-tied. After they arrived at this place, they could feel that they were being suppressed. Most of them were unable to achieve such a shocking effect even if they used all their strength. As for these two people, it was only the beginning of their exchange. They probably hadn't used their full strength yet, but they had done it. The dragon Desolate Ancestor floated 5 miles away before stopping. His old face was filled with disbelief, and his heart was shaken. How long has it been since we last met? This brat has actually become so strong. Not long ago, when he was fighting against Du Xiaofu, he was still able to completely suppress this brat with his cultivation. If it wasn't for the sudden appearance of a disciple, he might have already been killed by him. This brat's improvement is too fast. He can't be left alive. The dragon Desolate Ancestor narrowed his eyes, the killing intent in his heart growing even stronger. Du Xiaofu floated in the air 5 kilometers away, his purple robe fluttering, the golden wings of the great rock behind him gently flapping, emitting light. Looking at the dragon Desolate Ancestor, he thought to himself, looks like there's still quite a gap. He had already broken through to the sage stage, but compared to the top experts of the older generation, there was still a certain gap. However, Du Xiaofu had many tricks up his sleeves. Even when he was facing the dragon Desolate Ancestor earlier, he was still fearless, let alone now. Kill. These words came out of the dragon Desolate Ancestor's mouth as he once again pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Accompanied by a resounding dragon roar, sound waves surged out in all directions like raging waves crashing against the shore. With a wave of his hand, a claw print as big as a mountain covered the sky and the sun. A terrifying aura swept through the heavens and the earth. As Du Xiaofu's heart fluctuated, afterimages quickly condensed and flipped between his hands. The profound qi in the divine watchtower boiled like a vast ocean, crazily surging out along his acupoints and meridians. Instantly, a flawless and translucent palm print that overflowed with lustrous light took form in Du Xiaofu's hand. The palm print was covered in talisman markings that were dazzling and blazing like the scorching sun, and the multicolored and gorgeous light fluctuated like lightning. A powerful pressure emanated from it. Faint cries of dragons, tigers, birds, and turtles could be heard, causing the void to tremble. Profound yellow emperor's seal. He swung his hand, and a colorful hand seal collided with the huge 8 desolation demon dragon's claw. Boom, 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 boom. Under the horrified gazes of the crowd, the two collided. An earth-shattering, muffled sound of energy immediately resounded in this ancient, secret place. Walala! In this kind of collision, runes shot out in all directions, erupting with a dazzling light. The talisman runes on the handprint and the claw print intertwined and devoured each other. The terrifying energy ripples were like the tides of a great river, rushing in all directions. The four phantoms of the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise appeared at the same time. They roared like thunder, and a tyrannical pressure descended. The might of the heavens was awe-inspiring, as if it wanted to destroy the primordial spirit of all living beings. The surrounding experts could not help but tremble uncontrollably. Their entire bodies felt cold, and they all retreated into the distance. They used all their strength to circulate the profound chi to protect their bodies and primordial spirit. Chi, chi, chi. The runes exploded, like fireworks drifting through the air, multicolored light filling the sky. When all of this dissipated, the figures of Du Xiaofu and the dragon desolate ancestor were revealed. Du Xiaofu was forced to retreat. Faint golden blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that he had suffered a certain amount of injuries. The dragon desolate ancestor's gaze was cold. Suddenly, fresh blood dripped from the aged palm of the dragon desolate ancestor as he stared fixedly at Du Xiaofu. The killing intent in his eyes was not concealed in the slightest. With one strike, both sides had suffered a certain amount of injuries. Both sides are injured. Both sides are injured. The Rock Emperor is actually so strong. How long has it been? This kind of advancement speed is simply too terrifying. Many creatures cried out in alarm. In the Devil Religion's camp, the 9 great Devil Emperors were all looking sideways. The slender figure in the lead was surging with devil chi. On the Du family's side, while everyone was shocked in their hearts, they were also extremely calm. Everyone was already used to Du Xiaofu's rapid advancement. Only Hun Ji's red lips moved slightly. Her soul-stirring eyes were filled with extreme surprise. Previously, when she saw how vast the forces around this human brat were, she already felt that it was inconceivable. His own strength was actually so tyrannical, to the point that he could directly compete with the experts of the older generation. Brat, I will definitely kill you today. The dragon desolate ancestor gritted his teeth. How could he endure suffering a loss at the hands of a junior? If he was allowed to continue growing, it wouldn't be long before no one would be able to stop him. Shameless old thing, can you do it? Do you want me to stand still and let you kill me? Du Xiaofu sneered and mocked. Good, good, good. The dragon desolate ancestor was furious, following which, a dragon's roar resounded through the heavens and earth. Golden light surged and floated in the heavens and earth, and the gigantic 8 desolation demon dragon's body appeared, like a winding mountain ridge that stretched across the void. The golden scales reflected a cold light, and the huge dragon's body was ancient and strong. As it rolled and twisted, the space trembled, and invisible ripples spread out. Rumbling sounds rang out in all directions, causing the eardrums of all the living beings present to be dazed. Roar! The dragon's roar shook the heavens and earth. It opened its mouth and sucked, causing a gale to howl and space to distort. Endless air was sucked in, forming a vortex that covered the entire void. Fight! Du Xiaofu shouted. The great rock's golden wings shone brightly. The thunder martial vein appeared, and thunder filled the sky. Lightning and runes interweaved, reflecting each other's brilliance. Thunder scattered down, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Right at this moment, after Du Xiaofu displayed the thunder martial vein, a shocking change occurred. Rumble! The entire area suddenly began to shake. The heavens and the earth shook, as if an invisible hand had grabbed onto the entire space and was shaking it with all its might. Even the space that was being suppressed was no exception. The mountain peaks that were like divine swords that could split the heavens were all trembling violently, as if doomsday had arrived. What happened? All the living beings were panicking as a chill rose from the bottom of their hearts. No one knew what was going on with this sudden change. Other than the fear in their hearts, they could only look around in an attempt to find the source. Chapter 2457. This sudden turn of events caused all the living beings to feel uneasy and terrified. Even the dragon desolate ancestor and Du Xiaofu, who were waiting to attack, stopped at the same time. They looked around in confusion, not intending to continue fighting. Thump, thump, thump. Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein broke out of his body uncontrollably. Countless electric snakes wreaked havoc, spitting out electric light. Oh no! Du Xiaofu's heart fluctuated. His body burst out with light as he resisted with all his might, wanting to take back the martial vein. However, this action made him feel as if his body was about to be torn apart. Even his immortal Xin body was about to be torn apart. His face instantly twisted as pain climbed to his eyebrows. Lightning flashed around Du Xiaofu's body in arcs of light. Thunder rumbled and light soared into the sky, enveloping the entire sky. Thump, 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 thump. Du Xiaofu's heartbeat became abnormally violent, beating at an extremely fast speed, fiercely hammering his chest. When he first arrived here, Du Xiaofu had already felt the throbbing of the thunder martial vein. His drunkard father, sister Du Xiaojing, and Du Xiaoba all felt the same. However, under the deliberate suppression, other than feeling the throbbing and some kind of summoning, there was nothing wrong with the thunder martial vein. But at this moment, once it was used, it was as if a fuse had been triggered, causing a series of changes. Rumble. High up in the sky, layers of clouds gathered and covered the horizon. At a glance, it was boundless and was completely enveloped by dark clouds. The heavenly might was awe-inspiring, causing one's scalp to go numb. As the dark clouds churned, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Thunderclaps shook the sky. Thunder and lightning tore apart the sky, as if they wanted to tear the world into pieces. Du Xiaofu's face was twisted in pain. The immortal Xin body burst open and golden blood spurted out. He was simply unable to resist this tearing force. He simply stopped resisting and relaxed his body, allowing the thunder martial vein to soar into the sky. This action instantly caused an even greater change to occur. This time, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, and Du Xiaoba's lightning martial veins could no longer be suppressed. With a loud roar, their martial veins broke out from their bodies and filled the sky. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's 3,000 jolting lightning, silver net soul devouring lightning, and several other lightning bolts broke out of his body and rushed into the sky. Walala! At the same time, in the huge lake behind them, the surface of the lake was no longer calm. The entire lake was boiling, and monstrous waves surged. The lake water was pushed back, and the torrents shot up high into the sky. In the boundless void above his head, the radiance of lightning flashed. Thousands of lightning snakes quickly intertwined, gradually converging into countless vast lightning balls. The lightning flames were dazzling. Boom, 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 boom. The balls of lightning and fire were like giant rocks condensed from lightning. They roared and rolled down from the sky, dragging long tails of flames behind them. They suppressed the entire sky and caused the space to tremble. As if the gods were roaring in anger, they smashed down on the countless living beings below like a violent storm. Soon, many experts were hit. Those whose cultivation was above the saint realm were instantly burned and spat out mouthfuls of blood. Their blood dyed the sky red. In just one blow, they had lost half of their lives, but at least they were able to resist. Those whose cultivation was below the saint realm were not so lucky. After being hit, they immediately turned into a puff of green smoke. Their bodies and souls were destroyed and turned into ashes. Oh no! All cultivators below the saint realm, leave immediately. Experts from the major forces of the human race and the Beast Alliance shouted. With such power, those below the saint realm could not resist at all. They would only be courting death if they stayed. The leaders of the forces from the outside world also issued orders to all those whose cultivation was not high enough to retreat. Everyone from the desolate country gathered together and worked together to resist, shattering the falling balls of lightning and fire. Father, Xiaofu, Rock Emperor, Little Star, Zhen Qingchun, Changguyu, and the others looked at Du Xiaofu in the sky worriedly. They saw that he did not move at all and did not try to resist the lightning and fireballs. But strangely, when the lightning and fireballs passed by him, they seemed to sense something and avoided him. Not only did Du Xiaofu do this, but Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, and Du Xiaoba also did the same. Run. The area was suddenly in chaos. The living beings screamed and quickly retreated toward the lake like stray dogs. Ah, save me. Some of the living beings could not dodge in time and were hit by the lightning and fireballs. In the blink of an eye, their bodies were wrapped in lightning and fire and turned into charred corpses. They fell from the sky and turned into black ashes before they hit the ground. Their bodies and souls were destroyed, and they could not be more dead. Ah, there were also living beings who came into contact with the lake water in the process of retreating. As soon as they came into contact with the lake water, the death chi invaded their bodies like poisonous snakes. Their flesh and blood withered instantly as if their blood essence was sucked dry and their bodies corroded. They turned into pitch-black skeletons and fell to the ground. The scenes were like scenes of doomsday. The screams of living beings rose and fell one after another, playing a symphony of fear and death. Boom, 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 boom. With a series of rumbling sounds, the lightning and fireballs fell among the mountains. The heavens and earth shook and the earth cracked. The mountains that were like divine swords began to turn illusory. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The mountains moved and the earth cracked as if there was an earthquake. Bottomless abyss appeared one after another. The whole space was distorted, and the cracks in space raged. The mountains overlapped and moved closer to one place as if they were going to merge into one. All of this took a long time to describe, but it happened in just a few breaths. At this time, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that the calling in his heart was getting stronger. That kind of calling came from the deepest part of his bloodline. It was as if it had traveled through time and came from the ancient times to beckon him. The turmoil continued. Panic and fear were still spreading. Everyone was anxious, but no one knew what was going on. Is the secret place about to appear? The biggest secret hidden in this world is about to appear. Whoever can uncover the greatest secret will be able to obtain endless benefits. This benefit must belong to my Yu family. The eyes of some experts in the consummate saint realm fluctuated. In the midst of great danger, great opportunities were often hidden. It was absolutely extraordinary. Countless experts secretly focused and waited silently. They were accumulating power and waiting for the final moment to arrive so that they could seize the greatest opportunity with thunderous means. The changes were still continuing. Boom, boom, boom. Countless mountain peaks converged and gradually merged into one place. A boundless mountain range took shape. It looked like a mound of dirt that had been magnified millions of times and was displayed in front of everyone. Oh my God, what am I seeing? Oh my God, is this a tomb? Yes, this boundless mound was in the shape of a tomb. Just as this tomb was formed, a vast pressure suddenly descended and suppressed the primordial spirits of all living beings. This pressure was even more powerful than when facing the gods. It made all living beings' hair stand on end. They wanted to crawl in reverence and couldn't have the slightest intention of rebellion. That was the terrifying heavenly might. Chapter 2458. Amidst the chaos, the devil religion was experiencing the same situation as Du Xiaofu's family. Mo Lingzi was covered in a black robe. Why is there such a terrifying pressure? Could the legends be true? Is there really a world buried here? Is this grave the tomb of heaven and earth? The vast pressure wasn't fierce, but it acted on the origin spirits of every living being. It was the true might of the heavens, and it caused people and spirits to tremble in fear. Everyone's legs trembled, and they wished they could prostrate themselves on the ground and worship it. It was rumored that a world had been buried in the heaven burial deathland, but it was only a rumor after all. It was hard to imagine how a world could be buried. This kind of saying was too inconceivable and appalling. At this time, everyone believed these words to be true, and most of the doubts in their hearts were eliminated. The most clear-headed people present were none other than Du Xiaofu, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, and Du Xiaoba, as well as Mo Lingzi. This pressure didn't affect them. It was just that at this time, an indescribable pain welled up in the hearts of the 4 Du family members. Looking at this tomb that was as vast and boundless as a mountain, the 4 couldn't help but have their eyes turn red and swollen. Tears poured down, and the calling from the depths of their bloodlines became even stronger. Du Xiaofu could feel that what was buried here had an inseparable relationship with his Du family. Wu, Uncle Xiaofu, why is it that when I look at this mountain, my heart feels as heavy as if I'm visiting a grave? Du Xiaoba looked at Du Xiaofu with his big, innocent eyes, his little face full of tears, and suddenly asked in a low voice. The strange thing was that these childish words, which should have made one not know whether to laugh or cry, didn't make one feel funny. Instead, it made the sadness in their hearts grow even stronger. Master, I also have this very sad feeling. The shirtless Lei Tianhuang appeared out of nowhere. He pointed at the grave and said to Du Xiaofu, I feel like my birth has something to do with it. It's like my parents. It's like my home. As time passed, the changes in this place gradually calmed down. The lightning and fire that filled the sky disappeared, and the heaven and earth returned to normal. The monstrous waves of the lake behind them calmed down, and it became calm once again. All the mountains finally merged into one, and the enormous tomb took shape. The 3,000 quaking thunders, the silver net soul-devouring thunders, and several other thunders shot out from Du Xiaofu's body and hovered in the sky, making whining noises as if they were wailing. The earth-shattering pressure also slowly receded. It was as if all the living beings present had survived an apocalyptic calamity. There was a sense of horror and joy that came from surviving a calamity. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's family of 4 and Imo Lingzi's martial veins were all coiled around the tomb, causing the entire tomb to look as if it was bathed in lightning that covered the sky, sparkling and dazzling, and it added a sense of mystery. Opportunity. There must be a great opportunity here. Let's go. This opportunity must belong to us. After a brief moment of silence, an even greater chaos erupted. Who dares to compete with my distant Sky Flame Phoenix clan? Many powerful clans made their moves and rushed towards the enormous tomb. Countless experts scrambled to be the first to fly into the sky. Pop, pop, pop. The sound of bubbles bursting rang out. After everyone came into contact with the tomb, they immediately disappeared, as if they had entered another space. Brother, let's go take a look too. Du Xiaojing came to Du Xiaofu's side, wiped away the tears on her pretty face, and said softly. Du Xiaofu nodded and led the people from the desolate country to the tomb and disappeared. When they stepped in, the scene in front of them suddenly changed. This was an incomparably strange world. There was no blue sky above their heads, no thick earth below their feet, and no place to stand. If one had to describe it, the only word that could be used was spacious. Above their heads was a huge sun that was rippling with lightning. It was bright and resplendent, shining brightly for thousands of miles, illuminating the vast sky. From time to time, a few bolts of lightning would strike down. Other than that, there was nothing else. It was as if all the living beings were situated in a vast universe, and the only thing missing was the scattered stars that dotted the sky. That is. Suddenly, some of the sharp-eyed living beings noticed something strange. In an extremely distant place, a golden figure was entrenched in the void. From time to time, it would soar into the sky, causing countless bolts of lightning to intertwine, and then cover up the entire scene there. Father, look. It looks like that fool Du Xiaoyao. Little Star's big eyes rippled, and the mark between his eyebrows shone with an evil light as he pointed at the golden figure and said, Oh, let's go take a look. Du Xiaofu's eyes rippled, and he took the lead to fly over. Little Star and the rest of the people from the desolate country followed suit. As the crowd approached, the golden figure became clearer and clearer. Roar! In the midst of the golden light, a huge golden shadow of a scarlet horse monkey roared in the sky and rushed into the sky, as if trying to break free from some restraints. Boom, boom, boom. But every time it collided, countless bolts of lightning would light up around it, intertwining into the shape of a large net, suppressing it and trapping it, preventing it from escaping. It's really Du Xiaoyao. Seeing the scarlet horse monkey, Du Xiaofu knew that it was Du Xiaoyao without a doubt, and could not help but be shocked. The golden light on the scarlet horse monkey's body receded, and a young man in golden robes appeared. Who else could it be other than the daring Du Xiaoyao? Du Xiaofu, you're finally here. Quick, save me. Ah, seeing the arrival of the group, Du Xiaoyao looked as if he had seen his savior, and he begged Du Xiaofu for help. But before he could finish his sentence, a few more bolts of lightning flashed, and electric arcs crackled, striking Du Xiaoyao's body, causing his skin to split open. Du Xiaoyao screamed miserably and immediately covered his head, but no matter how he dodged, he could not escape the attack of the lightning. At this moment, Du Xiaoyao seemed to be trapped in a cage, and there was no trace of his usual valiance on his face. His hair was disheveled, and his face was dirty. His eyes were red and dim, and his strong body was charred on the outside and tender on the inside. His face was black, and when he opened his mouth, he spat out a few smoke rings, and a meaty aroma wafted out. His appearance was as miserable as it could be, and it was simply unbearable to look at. Ha 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 ha, Du Xiaoyao, you coward. Are you trying to roast yourself? Little Xingxing laughed loudly and danced with joy, as if he was taking pleasure in Du Xiaoyao's misfortune. What the hell are you laughing at? Hurry up and save me. Ah, Du Xiaoyao cursed anxiously, but immediately after, another bolt of lightning struck, and his body was shattered, and he screamed miserably. Father, I haven't eaten monkey meat before. Du Xiaohuang suddenly swallowed his saliva and said weakly. Du Xiaofu's face twitched. Earlier, he had been wondering why everyone had come to the deepest part of the burial wasteland, but he did not see Du Xiaoyao's figure. It turned out that this guy was one step ahead of everyone else and had already entered this secret place, but for some reason, he was trapped here. Apologies, everyone. Today's update is a little late. Chapter 2459. It is indeed very fragrant. Sniffing the fragrance of meat in the air, Du Xiaoba licked his lips and chuckled. Du Xiaofu found that the lightning bolts striking Du Xiaoyao were very limited, just enough to split open his flesh. With the redbone horse monkey's strong regenerative abilities, it was not enough to take his life. Du Xiaoyao, how did you get trapped here? Du Xiaofu could not help but laugh. He did not find it strange that Du Xiaoyao had appeared here before the others. This fellow's talent was already very abnormal to begin with. However, being trapped by Du Xiaoyao at this moment was rather surprising to Du Xiaofu. Right now, seeing that Du Xiaoyao was only suffering physical pain and was not in any danger of losing his life, Du Xiaofu was in no hurry to save Du Xiaoyao. It was also good to let him suffer a little more so that he could grow some brains in the future. Otherwise, this fellow would not be so arrogant as to rely on the redbone horse monkey's special ability to enter every nook and cranny, plunging headlong into any secret place he saw without even thinking. Fuck. Du Xiaofu, you bastard, ow. Can't you save me first before you ask? I'm your big brother. Another ball of lightning struck out, directly splitting Du Xiaoyao's buttocks into two halves. He was so anxious that he stomped his feet and howled in agony. Little Uncle Yao, you actually dare to scold my father? Come out yourself if you have the guts. Before Du Xiaofu could reply, little Xingxing chuckled, his dark eyes narrowing into two slits, indescribably happy. Little thing, ow. Wait till this daddy gets out, ow. I'm not done with you, ow. Du Xiaoyao jumped up and down, trapped in the net of lightning, unable to escape at all. As he dodged the lightning attacks, he gritted his teeth and roared angrily. Ha ha, come on, come hit me. Little Xingxing was unmoved, his little arms akimbo as he shouted loudly. Pfff, Du Xiaoyao was so angry that she was about to vomit blood. She did not dare to talk back. A wise man knew when to retreat. She immediately gave in and said, Ouch. Little star, no, I was wrong. Ouch. Save me. Ouch. Du Xiaofu, save me. Ouch. I won't fight with you for the boss position anymore. Ouch. I swear. Seeing this scene, everyone from the desolate country laughed heartily. Even Yi Piaoling and Du Xiaojing, who were usually as cold as ice, could not help but reveal a rare smile. That should be enough. Why don't we save Du Xiaoyao? Finally, Du Tingxian couldn't help but open his mouth, and a smile appeared on his handsome face. When Du Xiaoyao heard this, tears immediately streamed down his face, extremely moved. Du Xiaofu nodded and smiled. He felt that it was about time. This encounter should be able to teach this guy a lesson. Du Xiaofu flew forward, reached out his hand, and touched the lightning net that trapped Du Xiaoyao. He wanted to test it and find a way to break it. This heaven burial deathland was incomparably strange. Presumably, this large net formed by interweaving lightning would also be extraordinary. However, the strange thing was that when he had just touched the swift and tyrannical lightning, all the lightning was like a group of snakes returning to their nest. With a few sizzling sounds, all of them drilled into Du Xiaofu's body. Du Xiaofu was puzzled by this phenomenon, but he was not too surprised. He already knew that this place had an inseparable relationship with the entire Du family, so Du Xiaofu was not surprised by this situation. Damn it, I'm finally out. The lightning receded, revealing Du Xiaoyao's battered and exhausted figure. The golden light in her eyes was dim, and her skin was charred black. A burnt smell wafted out. Seeing that a large group of people were all looking at her with smiling eyes, Du Xiaoyao was immediately enraged. She deliberately put on a fierce face. What are you looking at? With so many people present, her glorious image was completely destroyed. Du Xiaoyao, how long have you been here? Du Xiaofu asked. But looking at Du Xiaoyao's current appearance, he couldn't help but laugh. It should be about half a month, Du Xiaoyao said. Did you find anything? Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and became serious. Since Du Xiaoyao was the first to arrive here, she might have already found out the secrets hidden here. I don't know either. After I came in, I was trapped before I could see the environment clearly. Du Xiaoyao said weakly. Ha ha ha, don't tell me you were continuously struck by lightning for half a month. Little Xingxing laughed wildly. He wanted nothing more than to make Du Xiaoyao reveal all her secrets. Du Xiaoyao shrunk her neck, as if she still had lingering fears. She opened her mouth and wanted to quibble, but in the end, she didn't say anything. Du Xiaoyao was very melancholy at this moment. All these years, he had used the redbone horse monkey's original body to explore secret realms and break through talisman arrays. He had been successful in every endeavor. He had repeatedly opened great opportunities and obtained endless benefits. But after coming here, he had failed miserably. This was a huge blow to him. How could he not be melancholy? Hearing little Xingxing's words, Du Xiaoyao's eyes reddened. Tears of regret flowed down. Everyone looked at each other in shock, then they all laughed. So, this place isn't as simple as it looks. Jin Qingchun, the sacred array child, said as he looked around. This place was like a cold and dark space in the universe, but it lacked the stars that filled the sky. The only source of light was the lightning flashing sun above them. Everyone had wasted a lot of time with Du Xiaoyao. At this time, many creatures had already flown into the sky and approached the huge lightning sun. They wanted to be the first to decipher the secret of this place and obtain the greatest benefits. Could it be that the world's greatest secret is hidden there? Hun Ji's red lips parted slightly. Her moving eyes looked into the sky, and then she said in surprise, what's happening there? Then everyone's gaze swept over. They saw a large group of creatures, clustered together, flying towards the lightning sun as if they had seen something unbelievable. Let's go and take a look. Du Xiaofu took the lead and rushed into the sky. The people of the desolate country followed. The only special place in this space was the lightning sun. If there was an opportunity, it would most likely be there. The sun seemed very close, but in fact it was very far away. Everyone flew at full speed, but after half a day, the outline of the sun in their eyes was only slightly larger. It took them more than 10 days to finally arrive in front of it. Boom, boom, boom. As they approached, the light of the lightning sun became brighter and brighter. Thunderclaps shook the sky and were deafening. Even with the cultivation of the Saint Realm, these creatures felt their eardrums go numb. When Du Xiaofu and the others arrived, there were already countless creatures gathered here. They all looked at the lightning sun in disbelief. What is that? Some creatures looked at the sun and asked in confusion. Under the illumination of the sun, the figure of a small beast appeared. Amidst the interweaving lightning, it shuttled back and forth, jumping and jumping in joy. The little beast was about the size of a baby. Its body was filled with lightning, flickering constantly. That, that is. Oh my God, what am I seeing? Many creatures cried out in alarm, speaking with trembling voices. Chapter 2460. Under countless astonished gazes, the little beast strode forward with its 4 hooves, passing through the lightning. It was very excited as it skipped and jumped happily. The little beast had a strange appearance. It had the head of a lion, the horns of a deer, the eyes of a tiger, the body of an elk, the scales of a dragon, and the tail of an ox. Its 2 lively big eyes flickered, and it looked harmless and cute. Cheelin, that's a Cheelin. Suddenly, some experts of the older generation cried out in surprise, their faces filled with disbelief. The little beast was bathed in lightning. It looked exactly like the legendary Cheelin. It's really a Cheelin. There are still Cheelins in this world. Didn't the Cheelin race go extinct during the Dragon Phoenix calamity? Countless living beings' expressions changed as they exclaimed in shock. Cheelins were the supreme beasts of the land. They were existences that stood on par with the dragons and phoenixes. Legend had it that in the primordial era, the dragons, phoenixes, and Cheelins competed for supremacy. The Cheelins howled in the sky and roared in the world. They spat out water and fire and roamed the wilderness with peerless divine might. All beasts prostrated when they saw them. In the field, the dragons and phoenixes were shocked when they saw this. The Dragon Phoenix calamity in the primordial era ended with the extinction of the Cheelin race. The dragons and phoenixes also suffered great losses under the competition. After that, the dragons retreated to the 4 seas, and the phoenixes returned to Mount Wudong. They hid from the world and recuperated. Back then, the weak and small human race took advantage of the situation to rise up and achieve the glory of today. In that calamity, the living beings were plunged into misery and suffering, and blood dyed half of the world. Under the combined forces of the dragons and phoenixes, the Cheelins were exterminated. Since then, no Cheelins appeared in the world. The final battlefield of the Dragon Phoenix calamity formed the ancient, desolate, ominous ground under the influence of some unknown factor. It was isolated from the outside world and became an independent space. Although no one knew how this ominous ground was formed, it was not difficult to deduce that all of this was definitely affected by the Dragon Phoenix calamity. However, today, in the deepest part of the heaven burial wasteland, in the strange space that was like a tomb, another Cheelin appeared. Dragons are respected by the dragons, Cheelins are respected by the land beasts, and phoenixes are respected by the birds. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. He had heard many legends about the Cheelin. Initially, he had some superficial understanding of it from Dongli Qingqing. Later on, he wandered around Tianhuang mainland and gained a deeper understanding. Du Xiaofu knew that the beasts of Tianhuang mainland were also weak because of the extinction of the Cheelin and the protection of a mysterious expert. That was the reason why they were stuck in Tianhuang mainland and lingered on at death's door. Otherwise, they would have been wiped out long ago. Cheelin, that's the sovereign of all beasts. Many creatures opened their mouths and began to discuss spiritedly. Above the great sun, as if it had sensed the countless hopeful gazes, the baby-sized Cheelin cub suddenly turned its eyes, blinking its watery and bright eyes as it looked over curiously. Is this Cheelin cub a pure-blooded one? Someone said doubtfully. It doesn't matter if it's a pure-blooded Cheelin or not. As long as it's a Cheelin, it'll definitely be the leader of all beasts. The eyes of the dark black Heaven Tiger clan's patriarch tiger Desolate burned as he said in an unquestionable voice. Amongst the howling Heaven demonic lion clan, there was an old man with a head full of wild hair. When he heard the words of the tiger Desolate ancestor, he nodded his head heavily in agreement. Roar! As if responding to everyone's suspicions, the Cheelin cub suddenly opened its mouth and roared at the crowd. Its voice was still immature, but it still resounded through the entire space. Boom, boom, boom. As the immature roar fell, thunder wreaked havoc and surged in all directions. It was as if tens of thousands of mountains had collapsed as 1,000 waves roared over. Most of the experts present felt a powerful pressure descend, causing their primordial spirits to tremble. Shunk stage. This is a saint stage Cheelin. This little Cheelin looks like it was just born, and it's already at the saint stage? This is too terrifying. Everyone was shocked and exclaimed in surprise. Behind Du Xiaofu, the little tiger, the thunder goat, the ravenous ape, the earth wolf, and the others instantly prostrated themselves on the ground. Even an expert like the tiger desolate ancestor felt his legs go soft and wanted to kneel down. Pure blood. It's definitely a pure-blooded Cheelin. The wild-haired old man from the Howling Heaven Demonic Lion clan said excitedly. That feeling that came from the depths of his bloodline was definitely not wrong. Dark Heavenly Tiger Clan greets Senior Cheelin. The tiger desolate ancestor no longer resisted the pressure and immediately knelt on the ground as he spoke with a trembling voice. Howling Heaven Demonic Lion Clan greets Senior Cheelin. Under the lead of the wild-haired old man, the experts of the Howling Heaven Demonic Lion Clan also knelt down. The rest of the powerful beasts all knelt down in excitement, calling the Cheelin Mountain. In this world, most of the dragons and phoenixes had impure bloodlines. The sudden birth of this pure-blooded Cheelin meant that once it reached adulthood, it would definitely display the might of the primordial era and dominate the world. The beasts would also rise once again, and it would be difficult to find a match for them. With the birth of the Cheelin, there's hope for us beasts to rise. Tears streamed down the tiger desolate ancestor's face as he cried like a child. Behind Du Xiaofu, the lightning goat, the nightmare ape, and the others were all extremely excited. Humph, aren't you guys a little too early to be happy? Right at this moment, an untimely voice sounded out. Looking towards the source of the voice, the one who spoke was an old man dressed in green. It was the 8 Desolation Demonic Dragon Clan's Patriarch Dragon Desolate. Longhuang, what do you mean? Elder Hu Si from the Dark Heavenly Tiger Clan asked in a deep voice. The birth of the Cheelin makes you the leader of the walking beasts. This is true. The dragon desolate ancestor sneered, obviously harboring ill intentions. But this little Cheelin, if it recognizes my 8 Desolation Demonic Dragon Clan as its master. TSK. What does the dragon desolate ancestor want to do? This Cheelin is still young. The dragon desolate ancestor wants to tame it. The child of a Cheelin is the king of beasts. Whoever can obtain it will be able to command the beasts. This dragon desolate ancestor really has a good plan. The surrounding living beings discussed in all directions. How could they not understand the dragon desolate ancestor's goal? As he spoke, the dragon wasteland ancestor moved. With a wave of his green robe sleeve, tens of thousands of rays of light erupted. A dragon-shaped claw formed and rushed towards the great sun above his head, wanting to grab the little Cheelin in his hand. Dragon desolate, how dare you? The Howling Moon ancestor of the Howling Demonic Lion Clan suddenly changed his expression and shouted, "Roar!" The Howling Moon Patriarch roared, shattering the void. In an instant, a majestic howling demonic lion's true form appeared. It spanned across the void like a mountain. Its strong 4 hooves took a step forward and quickly intercepted the dragon desolate ancestor's claw print. At the same time, Elder Hu Si from the Dark Heavenly Tiger Clan also transformed into his true form and rushed into the sky to stop the dragon desolate ancestor together with the Howling Moon Patriarch. If my Yu clan can obtain this Cheelin cub, then I can command all the beasts and use them for my own purposes. Among the crowd, an old man from the Yu clan with a ruddy complexion and a golden divine radiance wrapped around his body had a deep gaze. Chapter 2461. The old man's light purple robe was embroidered with a golden dragon pattern. It was vivid and lifelike, as if it was a living creature. It was the old emperor of the Yu family. The imperial palace's dragon aura accompanied his body, adding an invisible domineering aura. After pondering for a moment, the old emperor of the Yu family had already made his move. A large hand reached out to grab the little Cheelin. A terrifying pressure covered the sky and swept through the 9 heavens, causing the radiance of the lightning sun above his head to fluctuate. "Yu Duanqing, do you want to start a war with my beast alliance?" Amidst the loud roar, the old eyes of the tiger desolate ancestor spat out flames of fury. The dark heavenly tiger roared towards the sky, and a large number of black runes spread out. The tiger, desolate ancestor, pounced forward, his tiger claws creating clouds that tore through heaven and earth. The tiger's roar shook the heavens, as if it wanted to break mountains and rivers. Your dark, heavenly tiger clan can't represent the entire beast alliance. Another cold snort resounded. A blazing phoenix with blazing flames flapped its wings and soared into the sky. Wherever it passed, the sky was burned red by the flames. Does the Sky Flame Phoenix clan also want to interfere? Several beast-type experts were furious. Countless runes swept out and attacked the ancestor of the Sky Flame Phoenix clan. This little Cheelin, my family must have it. Hee, how can my Overlord Python clan miss out on such a good thing? Since that's the case, my Gulen Heavenly Eagle clan will also join in the fun. After the Dragon Desolate ancestor, the old emperor of the U family, and the ancestor of the Sky Flame Phoenix clan made their moves one after another, everyone understood their intentions. The Overlord Python clan's ancestor Xiaolong, as well as the famous clans, School of Vertical and Horizontal, and Legalism from the outside world, were unwilling to fall behind. They all made their moves, wanting to snatch the Cheelin cub. Boom, boom, boom. A chaotic battle began. Under the lightning sun, many experts fought. Tyrannical energy wreaked havoc and swept in all directions. A terrifying might surged, as if it wanted to tear the suppressed space into pieces. Are all the old monsters here? Du Xiaofu squinted his eyes, looking at the Legalism, famous clan and the others. The people who attacked were all extraordinary. Judging from their powerful auras, their strength was not inferior to the Dragon Desolate ancestor and the others. These old freaks should be the strongest forces of the various races. To think that the appearance of the Heaven Burial Deathland would attract all of these powerful beings. Du Xiaofu looked around and saw that the 9 great demon emperors of the devil religion were also showing signs of restlessness. The baby Cheelin must not fall into the enemy's hands. Du Tingxian and Zhen Qingchun looked at each other and said seriously. However, this Cheelin cub shouldn't be so easy to subdue. Zhen Qingchun said softly, all the clans are harboring evil intentions. They want to obtain the Cheelin's cub and use it to control the beasts. The reason the devil religion hasn't made a move yet is probably because they know this. When the people of the desolate country heard this, they all agreed. And at this time, Du Xiaofu was stunned to discover that in the midst of the fierce battle, the little Cheelin seemed to be detached from the world. After letting out a tender roar, it no longer paid attention to the crowd, as if it did not know that it was on the cusp of the storm. Under the great sun, the little Cheelin shook its head, twisted its butt, and swung its tail. It shuttled back and forth amidst the lightning, happily playing around. Du Xiaofu was a little speechless. There were many creatures here that were fighting to the death for him, but it was good. It was actually carefree and was playing happily by itself. Cheelins are the kings of my beasts. How can they be so easily bullied by you? In the sky, the tiger desolate ancestor who was fighting with the Yu family's old emperor shouted angrily. Black talisman runes lingered around him, and his huge tiger claws were like a tiger, slapping towards the head of the Yu family's old emperor. Just at this moment, the ancestor of the distant Sky Flame Phoenix clan suddenly threw away his opponent, flapped his wings and flew quickly, bringing with him a sea of fire as he charged towards the tiger desolate ancestor. At the same time, as if there was a tacit understanding, the dragon desolate ancestor who was being jointly fought by the howling moon ancestor and the elder Hulu also suddenly turned around and rushed behind the tiger desolate ancestor. Chi chi chi. The flames on the body of the heavenly flame phoenix clan's ancestor shot out, pouring towards the tiger desolate ancestor. Go to hell. The dragon desolate ancestor bellowed. The mountain-like body of the 8 desolation demonic dragon swept across. The dragon tail suddenly lashed down, striking the back of the tiger desolate ancestor. Despicable. Could it be that the heavenly flame phoenix and the 8 desolation demonic dragon race only know how to launch sneak attacks? Howling Moon Ancestor, Elder Husi and the others quickly chased after him, but they were still a step too late. Piffed! Facing the sneak attacks of the 3 great ancestors, the Tiger Desolate Ancestor used all his strength to dodge the attacks of the Yu family's old emperor and the Heavenly Flame Phoenix clan's ancestor. However, being caught off guard, he was still unable to dodge the dragon desolate ancestor's dragon tail. After suffering a critical blow, he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood and sprayed it into the sky. The light in his pair of tiger eyes instantly dimmed by a bit. Divine palm of the heavens. Die. Seeing that, the Yu family's old emperor took the opportunity to close in. A golden palm print condensed. The purple aura on it was vast and mighty. The clouds rose. The aura was majestic. It covered the heaven and earth and chopped down towards the tiger desolate ancestor. Ancestor. Seeing that the tiger desolate ancestor was being attacked, the little tiger anxiously shouted from behind Du Xiaofu. He wanted to go and help, but with his current strength, he was still unable to fight against those old monsters head-on. I'll go join in the fun as well. Everyone, act according to the situation. Du Xiaofu suddenly said those words. The great rock flapped its wings and flew into the sky in a flash. Sky-shaking wings. As the sound of his voice faded, the great rock wings on Du Xiaofu's back suddenly expanded in size. The gigantic golden wings of light that were a few hundred meters long carried a perfect and smooth arc. An abnormally terrifying and tyrannical energy fluctuation surged. The sound of wind and thunder was like thunder from the nine heavens, carrying the tyrannical will of the golden-winged rock clan as it fiercely fanned out. Clang, clang, clang. The Fuyao heaven-shaking wings and the Yu clan's old emperor's golden palm fiercely collided. Immediately, the sound of metal clashing resounded, causing wind and thunder to fill the sky. It was like an endless wave, surging in all directions. Du Xiaofu, you dare to stop me? The Yu family's old emperor was forced back 50 feet and barely managed to stop himself. The killing intent in his eyes soared as he gritted his teeth. That attack, just now, could have caught the tiger desolate ancestor off guard and severely injured him, causing him to lose most of his fighting strength. Old thing, to think that you were the human emperor before. You actually launched a sneak attack. Do you have any shame? With one strike, Du Xiaofu was pushed back 70 feet. It was obvious that there was still a certain gap between him and the older generation of Sage Realm experts, but in terms of aura, he was not the slightest bit weaker. The Yu family's old emperor was at a loss for words and could only stare hatefully at Du Xiaofu. Thank you, Rock Emperor, for saving me. The tiger desolate ancestor had dodged a calamity and turned into a human. He cupped his fists towards Du Xiaofu and thanked him. Ancestor, there's no need to be so courteous. You are a clansman of the little tiger, which is to say, I, Du Xiaofu, am a family member. Du Xiaofu did not dare to be arrogant and immediately returned the greeting and said with a smile, Huh. Suddenly, a soft sound of surprise rang out. All the creatures present were above the sage realm, so they all had sharp ears and sharp eyes. They all noticed that the little Qilin was no longer making a ruckus and was tilting its little head, staring at Du Xiaofu with its sparkling little eyes. Chapter 2462. It seemed that Du Xiaofu's appearance had only just attracted the little Qilin's attention. After being stunned for a moment, the little guy seemed to have discovered something very interesting. Then, the corner of his mouth raised into a Qilin-style smile. He jumped out of the thunder sun and quickly pounced down. He was extremely excited. At this moment, when Du Xiaofu looked at the little Qilin, he actually felt a sense of closeness as if his bloodline was connected to it. This made him feel extremely astonished. It's out. The little Qilin is out. Quick, catch it. An expert shouted and rushed toward the little Qilin, wanting to catch it. The Dragon Wilderness Ancestor, the distant Sky Flame Phoenix Ancestor, and the Yu Clan Elder all attacked at the same time, but they were stopped by the Howling Moon Ancestor, Elder Husi, and other experts of the beast race. The little Qilin belongs to the School of Famers. Who dares to compete with the School of Legalism? At the same time, the School of Famers, Legalism, School of Vertical and Horizontal, as well as other experts from the outside world, attacked one after another. Legalism, School of Vertical and Horizontal, my desolate country will meet you. Du Tingxian, Little Xingxing, Jin Xingchun, and other experts of the desolate country flew up to stop the School of Famers. They knew very well that they could not let the little Qilin fall into their hands no matter what. The Thunder Goat, Bai Yuan, and Di Lang could not hold back any longer. They all transformed into their huge bodies and roared. How could they allow outsiders to blaspheme the Qilin that was revered by the beast race? Father, let me deal with this shameless old thing. Little Xingxing came and took over Du Xiaofu's place to fight the Yu clan elder. The chaotic battle began again. Majestic energy surged, sharp whistles resounded, and runes poured out. Should we attack? On the devil cult side, Imo Sha's aura fluctuated as he asked the great devil emperor. The great demonic emperor shook his head, indicating that he would continue to observe. The dark heavenly tiger race is on good terms with our race. Should we help them? Chi Su from the Bai Fong divine bird race asked the school of extortion. Let's wait a while more. The situation here is still unclear. If we make a move now, we will be entangled by others. The Blackie patriarch glanced at the devil religion and the dragons from the outside world. At this time, the beasts were all held back. Huiwu of the famed clan, Su Sanyan of the school of vertical and horizontal, and other Saint Realm experts with weaker cultivation bases also released their auras. While no one was stopping them, they rushed toward the little Qilin. These few people's cultivations were slightly weaker, so they weren't placed in the eyes of those old monsters. Thus, they also took advantage of the loophole and went directly to the little Qilin. When the little Qilin saw that its path was blocked, its little face immediately stiffened. It appeared to be very angry. Its pair of sparkling eyes stared at Su Sanyan, Hui Wu, and the others. Little Qilin, come with me. My school of vertical and horizontal will definitely treat you well. As Su Sanyan spoke, his entire body was wrapped in flames. He shook his hand and threw out a long spear. With a bright flame, he attacked. In the blink of an eye, it was already in front of the little Qilin, as if it wanted to pierce through it. Roar! The little Qilin seemed to be angry. It suddenly let out a low roar and gently waved its little hoof forward. Suddenly, a flash of lightning poured out and shot towards Su Sanyan. Crackle! The lightning and the flaming spear collided. The two forces entangled and tore at each other. The dense runes were shattered, as if a group of ants were dancing wildly. The flaming spear was shattered, and the lightning retracted. The little Qilin acted as if nothing had happened and continued to pounce downward joyfully. Su Sanyan took 3 steps back and looked at the little Qilin in disbelief. He was very cautious. He knew that the little Qilin was not easy to deal with and wanted to subdue it. However, he didn't expect that the little Qilin could easily break his attack with his full strength. After the eternal tomb opened, the suppression of this world had dissipated by more than half. His cultivation base had also increased from the initial stage of the Saint Realm to the middle stage of the Saint Realm. At this moment, he couldn't even deal with a little Qilin that seemed to have just been born. This was a huge blow to him. On the other side, Hui Wu and the others were also surprised by this result. Hui Wu's strength was almost on par with Su Sanyan. If he wanted to deal with the little Qilin alone, he was far from enough. Let's work together and take it down. Hui Wu and Su Sanyan exchanged glances and made a prompt decision. At this moment, there were countless experts eyeing the little Qilin. If they didn't work together, the opportunity would be taken away by others. As he spoke, Hui Wu raised his hand and shot out a ray of divine light. He and Su Sanyan attacked the little Qilin from both sides. Roar! The little Qilin's path was blocked again. It was furious and a series of roars burst out from its mouth. Boom! Crack! Crack! Under the little Qilin's roar, the fluctuations of the thunder sun surged wildly. 2 bolts of lightning as thick as mountains bombarded down. The lightning tore through the space and was unstoppable. Su Sanyan and Hui Wu were the first to bear the brunt of the lightning. The two of them activated their martial veins to resist the impact of the overbearing energy. In less than a breath, the two of them screamed one after another. Their martial veins were broken and shattered by the lightning. Su Sanyan was forced to retreat. His body was broken and his flesh was rolled. His whole body was charred black like charcoal. Only his eyes were still white. Puff! Hui Wu was not much better. Blood spurted out of his mouth. There were still residual electric arcs lingering on his body. His body emitted bursts of green smoke. He was in an extremely sorry state. After one blow, the two of them were seriously injured and did not dare to go forward. The little Qilin saw that the two of them did not have the intention to fight again. It ignored them and continued to shake its head in the direction of Du Xiaofu. This scene made the other experts tremble in fear. Who would have thought that a newborn little Qilin would be so powerful? Moreover, the power of the thunder sun above its head seemed to be able to be used by it. When the experts saw this, they all stopped in their tracks and watched as the little Qilin skipped down again. Father! Under the stunned gazes of countless people, the little Qilin excitedly opened its little mouth and threw itself into his arms. The little Qilin cheered. Its two chubby little forelegs hugged Du Xiaofu's neck. It narrowed its eyes and rubbed its little head on Du Xiaofu's face. It seemed incomparably intimate. Father? Du Xiaofu was instantly petrified. He was at a loss for what to do. He really could not understand. When did he have such a Qilin child? The little Qilin called the Rock Emperor father? This? While the surrounding people were panicking, they were also very puzzled. The Dragon Desolate Patriarch, the Sky Flame Phoenix Clan's Patriarch, the Yu Clan's Patriarch, and the others who were fighting stopped at the same time. They were very puzzled by this scene. The Tiger Desolate Patriarch, the Howling Moon Patriarch, and the other beasts looked at each other in confusion. What the hell is going on? Jin Qingchun raised his thick eyebrows and looked at Du Tingxian. Du Tingxian was confused. He shook his head, indicating that he did not know anything about this matter.